These 4 cultivators are really quite stingy, there wasn't even a single astral bag on their bodies. This disappointed Xu Jing greatly. Xu Jing did not have any interest in their various offensive weapons, nor did he care about the decorative jewelry on their bodies. At last, it seems like only Sun Tian Daoist possessed any wealth. A nebula stage artifact, dragon binding whisk, some valuable bloodstones, a bottle of qi restoration liquid, a bottle of all grains pills, and 2 pieces of clear wind talismans, of which he had no idea how to make use of. Aside from that, there was also a compass, an introductory book on legacies and an ancient map. Opening up the ancient map, they found out a little information on legacies. There were several places circled on the map, as if to indicate they have already been explored. It seems like they were relying on this map to hunt for treasures. Even though young master failed to solve the mountain lake riddle, this wasn't a wasted trip. This Daoist priest is really quite considerate. Lin Yingmei looked at the Daoist who had died without closing his eyes and smiled chillingly. In her hand, the Arctic Star Serpent spear that had its energy absorbed by the 1,000 threads myriad silk binding technique was glowing dim and pale. Perhaps this was the reason behind the majestic star's simmering anger. This mountain lake riddle isn't actually that complicated. Xu Jing smiled mysteriously. The 2 girls seemed dumbfounded. Could it be that young master had successfully understood the meaning behind the riddle? Lin Yingmei asked skeptically. Song Lu also asked in alarm, young master, are you joking around? You yourself said that you won't be able to solve the problem that have taken others hundreds of years in the span of a few cups of tea. It's only a guess. Xu Jing said while immediately heading out of the legacy, I don't dare to claim to be sure yet. It's so stuffy in here, let's go outside for a bit. The mountain lake valley was refreshing and relaxing, in contrast to the heavy ominous pressure inside the legacy. Xu Jing casually strolled through the quiet scenery, his expression serene. The 2 girls followed behind him, confused. If Xu Jing really did figure out the riddle, he should be rushing off to grab the legendary top-tiered soul technique instead of nonchalantly walking like this. After circling the valley several times, Xu Jing finally went towards a waterfall. He drank a mouthful of clear water and sat down on a nearby rock and began to quietly enjoy the relaxing sound of falling water. Young master, in the end, what are you trying to do? Song Lu stared at him incredulously. Looking at the surrounding scenery, Xu Jing avoided her question. Song Lu, let me ask you something. Young master, go ahead. Song Lu's seductive eyes were breathtaking as they focused towards Xu Jing. Xu Jing however remained calm as he asked, you said that this mountain lake valley was named after the legacy, so I just want to ask, was the legacy named by that great monk himself? I'm not too sure myself, but I did hear that after the legacy was completely constructed, Song Clan village suddenly heard the ringing of bells and drums that resonated a message in all of their minds, claiming that from then on the name of this place shall be Mountain Lake, and that's where it got its name from. Song Lu thought for a little while, then suddenly asked curiously, young master, how did you know? If that's so, it seems like we have some hope. Xu Jing laughed out loud and took off his outer coat, leaving only the undergarment on. Young master, be careful of your injuries. Even though Lin Yingmei seemed uncaring on the outside, her eyes couldn't help but peek at the nearly naked Xu Jing. On the contrary, Song Lu revealed a sensual smile, young master, you want us to join you in a mixed bathing session? You guys wait here. Xu Jing spoke, then turned around and jumped into the lake. In but a moment, Song Lu immediately saw his body appearing behind the waterfall. Before she could figure out what to think, Xu Jing suddenly flew high up onto the side of the waterfall cave walls, then using the surrounding, he made his way towards a tree branch. Lin Yingmei couldn't help but glance at him questioningly. What is young master up to? Song Lu was still confused. The young master must have his own plans. Lin Yingmei replied reservedly. Ah, could it be that he really did solve the riddle? Song Lu's voice was still laced in doubt. Lin Yingmei's expression shifted slightly, her eyes looking towards Xu Jing full of hope. Song Lu however remained skeptical. After some time, Shu Jing jumped down from atop the tree and began inspecting the ground underneath the water surface. 10 minutes later, there was suddenly an excited cheer coming from Shu Jing's location. Found it! Shu Jing made his way back to the lakeshore and put his clothes back on. After spending so much time, he finally managed to find what he wanted inside the water, a strange-shaped rock. What does that have to do with the riddle? Song Lu stared, her eyes questioning. Follow me. Shu Jing followed the shore towards the waterfall, this time with Lin Yingmei and Song Lu behind him. Behind the waterfall, there were only the cave walls and nothing else. This is, Lin Yingmei called out in a startled tone. The majestic star really did have exceptional eyesight. With a glance, she was able to detect that there was a strange indent on the wall of the cave. If this was a normal situation, it wouldn't really be anything special since strange-shaped dents form in nature all the time. However, the peculiar thing was the dent had the same shape as the rock Shu Jing had retrieved from inside the river. Shu Jing held the rock and jumped towards the indent and connected the two together. At that moment, there was a loud rumbling that echoed across the cave, and a huge hole suddenly opened up from the mountainside, shocking everyone standing there. Ah, there was such a contraption behind the waterfall. Song Lu covered her mouth and looked at Shu Jing with reverence. But that wasn't all that was shocking about this situation. Stepping inside, they discovered a complex network of secret halls along with a massive sentence carved into the walls. It was clearly the same familiar mountain and lake saying, but this time underneath it laid a small new sentence, "Congratulations on solving the riddle, Ming Jing." Right beneath the sentence there was a chest. Could it be? Lin Yingmei's body shivered in excitement. This is definitely the technique left behind the great monk. Shu Jing breathed out softly. Impossible, shouldn't it be inside the legacy? Song Lu said in panic, why is it here? Misdirection. Shu Jing smiled. What? Song Lu could not decipher what he meant. What was your initial solution when you first heard the riddle? Shu Jing asked her. Of course it meant that it was connected to the Mountain Lake legacy. Song Lu replied. In reality, all those who wished to solve the Mountain Lake riddle would have thought about the exact same place to begin. This was a deliberate misdirection. Shu Jing explained, everybody was misled into thinking that the Mountain Lake legacy was where the treasure resided, when in reality it was hidden right here. But how did young master figure this out? Song Lu frowned. Liangshan continent's star cultivators have had hundreds of years to figure this out, yet Shu Jing only required the time it took to make a few cups of tea. This was almost too exaggerated. Based on the hidden intent. Shu Jing smiled and replied. The Mountain Lake legacy, its painting, carvings, and writings are about mountains and lakes, even artificial mountains and lakes were built here, combining with everything else. Song Lu estimates that there was nearly 20 possible things that was connected to the riddle. While other cultivators were wasting thinking about the connections between all of these things, Shu Jing immediately thought about how suspicious it was that all the mountain lakes' imageries were so overtly obvious, as if they were designed to attract all the attention to themselves. If he intentionally wanted to attract the attention of people towards a particular place, there could only be one reason: he wanted to hide the real location. Shu Jing was not unfamiliar with this concept. The arts of war famously had feint from the east and attack from the west. Even modern Air Force military use the concept of bait in warfare. Seeing the ruins inside the legacy and hearing about the countless people that have turned the place upside down searching it reinforced to him that the legacy itself was simply a distraction. That's why he had quickly lost interest after briefly looking through the legacy. Young master, how did you find out about the actual location? Lin Yingmei did her best to rein in her turbulent emotions and asked. They were currently inside a waterfall hidden extremely well. There was also an invisible force hiding it from divine soul searches. People from the outside would definitely not be able to find this place. Of course, thanks to the riddle. Shu Jing answered, see mountains as mountains, lakes as lakes, meaning not the mountain lake legacy but the actual surrounding mountains and lakes. Hence, mountains truly as mountains, lakes truly as lakes. Then what does the line, look at mountains not as mountains, lakes not as lakes means? Reflections. Xu Jing smiled. Both Lin Yingmei and Song Lu widened their eyes. The legacy will be nearby a waterfall, and based on the reflection of the lake, the answer will lie underwater. The key itself will clearly still be difficult to find. Xu Jing gently explained it like it was an extremely simple matter. When they finished listening, Lin Yingmei, who was always aloof and proud, could maintain her composure, but Song Lu couldn't help but shout excitedly. Young master, you are too awesome. For the past hundreds of years no one in Liangshan continent has managed to solve this riddle, but you already figured it out in a few hours. Isn't that right, Yingmei? Song Lu exclaims. Lin Yingmei nodded. The architect of this entire riddle is the real formidable one here. Xu Jing grinned. In contrast from the relic blade puzzle, this mountain lake legacy contained no overwhelming ambush nor scary traps. Instead it was from beginning to end a psychological trick that played around with countless cultivators' mind. Indeed worthy of the title of great monk. Young master, you are making this maiden dying to gift you her body in admiration. Song Lu said shyly. Xu Jing rolled his eye. Let us see what the great monk had actually left behind for us first, and why it was hidden so carefully that it had made fools of all the cultivators for so long. Good idea. Even Lin Yingmei seemed to be anxious. They looked at the surrounding, but aside from the chest there were no other items. Xu Jing breathed in deeply, and observed the chest. There was no locks nor secret mechanism on the chest, and one could simply push it open easily. Looking inside, both Lin Yingmei and Song Lu both stared at the chest in stunned silence. Xu Jing spat out a curse toward the lying deceitful old man who was behind this. Inside, there was nothing. But how could this be? Lin Yingmei suspiciously held up the lid and quickly used her divine soul to search the chest. There was nothing that seemed out of the ordinary. I never would have thought that the riddle was a sham in the end. The majestic star spoke out angrily. Frauds have always been the kind of people she hated the most. Xu Jing carefully inspected the inside, but alas there was nothing he could collect. He could only shake his head in vain. Either somebody had already made it here before us, or we are simply the latest people to be fooled by this. Could it be that aside from young master, somebody else also figured out the riddle? Lin Yingmei asked coldly. It can't be. If it was really solved, the key wouldn't have remained inside the lake. Song Lu hesitated. Forget it, if it's simply not part our fate, then there's nothing we can do even if we want to. Let us go. Xu Jing calmly recollected himself from the mental blow, then turned around and walked away. No anger nor regret, as if none of it happened. His indifference caused both Lin Yingmei and Song Lu to feel moved. Liked it? Grand Border Fortress. This fortress is Thousand Mount Kingdom's most crucial stronghold. It is over 300 miles away from Song Clan village, and the current commander was the kingdom's crown prince, Go Zi. Speaking of Go Zi, while in the midst of his fight for the throne, he had suddenly volunteered to become a frontier commander, shocking the entire Thousand Mount Kingdom. Many in private would call him a fool who valued pride more than the big picture, but little did they know that between becoming an emperor and a star master, he was more interested in the latter. That's the reason why he has been staying at the Grand Border Fortress these past few years while keeping a low profile. He was diligently enticing star cultivators to become his subordinate or guests, and in a few short years, he amassed a surprisingly large number of experts. Now, the Grand Border Fortress even has 2 nebula cultivators as guests. Ever since the battle stars had risen up into the sky and the star duel began, Go Zi had successfully broken through and entered the ranks of star cultivators. He had then set up a strict surveillance network in the fort in the hope of catching and defeating a star knight, and in turn, becoming a star master. At that time, he would be able to ascend Liangshan Maiden Mountain, making his reputation all the more glorious. Today, like every other day, Go Zi was standing atop the pavilion balcony observing the distant sky. The 100 stars were shining brilliantly. Yet another crimson star. Go Zi mumbled in annoyance. Every time a star turned deep red, his heart felt like it was being cut. It meant that there were yet another star master in Liangshan continent. Heavens has no eyes, do I not have the qualification to become a star master? Gozi cursed from the bottom of his heart. After his small tantrum, Gozi resumed reminding his subordinate to pay close attention to all traveling cultivators, hoping to meet a star knight. Suddenly, a soldier came bearing news, "Your Highness, there's someone who wishes to meet you outside the gate." "What kind of person?" Gozi asked casually. He did not say. He only said that once your highness sees this letter, you will understand. The soldier used both his hand to present a letter. The cultivator beside him stepped forward to retrieve the letter for Gozi. The moment he opened the letter, Gozi's expression suddenly changed. "Quickly, summon him here." Someone whose entire body was covered in a cloak was guided by the soldier inside. Gozi's eyes followed him closely. "Everyone, leave," Gozi ordered. Soon, the only people left inside the room were those two. "Can you really do what you promised?" Gozi could not contain himself. "Can you really help me become a star master? What's more, a heavenly star knight's master? I do not dare to joke about this matter." A calm voice rang out from inside the cloak. Gozi paced back and forth, his eyes narrowing, as if wishing to see through the cloaked figure in front of him. "Why won't you show your face? Once you see my face, you will die." The voice continued calmly. Gozi's body suddenly shuddered, an impossibly bad feeling well up inside him. "What do you want as payment?" Gozi asks coldly. "The Babel token." "What?" Gozi was stunned still. "Can't you do it?" the other person casually asked. Gozi hesitated. It had taken a lot of his resources to acquire the Babel token from another cultivator. Using it, one can enter the Babel tomb, one of the 7 ancient tombs. Even his 2 prestigious guests did not know about it, so how did this person find out? But realistically, if he did not have a star knight accompanying him, there wasn't much hope of surviving even if he entered the ancient tomb. After pondering for some time, Gozi gnashed his teeth and replied determinedly, "As long as you can help me become a star master, not only will I give you the token, I will also give you 1,000 tael of gold as payment." "Excellent." The other person smiled. "However, I have a requirement. I want to sign a contract with a heavenly star. Can you make this happen?" Gozi asked anxiously. "I'll give you one better," he smiled. "How about majestic star Linchong?" "Ah." Gozi's jaws dropped. He thought he must have heard wrongly. "What? Linchong? The famous panther head Linchong? Impossible. Of course I know about the majestic star, there has never been anyone who has successfully signed a contract with her." Gozi was shocked. "You only have to follow my instructions," the other person assured the prince. Some time later, Gozi finished listening to the plan. At the beginning, he was suspicious, but now he had become somewhat convinced. This plan sounded like it had everything under control, and Gozi felt that this was no ordinary matter. Star maidens were already extremely rare in Liangshan continent, one would usually revere such a figure when running into them, so don't even talk about Linchong, who is one of the top 10 star knights. If he really could sign a contract with Linchong, Gozi believed that the Liangshan maiden's prize already belonged to him. When everything goes according to plan, do not forget what you must do. The other person left behind that casual statement, and by the time Gozi had gathered his wits again, the person had already disappeared from the room. Could that have been a star hunter? Gozi's fist tightened, his heart once again overcoming with a sense of unease. He called out loudly, "Quickly, summon the 2 elders here, tell them there are important matters that we must discuss." In the blink of an eye, a month passed by in Song clan village. Ever since their trip to the Mountain Lake Legacy, Xu Jing's life has also returned to a peaceful rhythm. Even though the resolution to his solving of the riddle was quite disappointing, Xu Jing did not let it affect him as he returned to his daily training with the chaotic tail escape technique. When he wasn't doing that, he would be sparring with Lin Yingmei or reading books. As these days of intense training went by, Xu Jing's chaotic tail escape technique broke through to the 13th gate. There were 49 gates in the chaotic tail escape technique, with every 7 gates marking a stage. Xu Jing planned to break through the second stage of the chaotic tail escape technique, then he would have no fear even if he ran into Sun Ho. One day, from outside the village, sounds of galloping horses interrupted Xu Jing's training. From several miles away, one could sense a heavy killing intent radiating. Lin Yingmei, who was leaning nearby, suddenly turned alertful. "Master. Let us see what it's about first," Xu Jing decided. The galloping drew closer and closer. In but a few moments it had approached very close by. Lin Yingmei frowned, her body tensed up in preparation. Bang! The courtyard's door was blown apart with a single kick, followed by a group of cavalry rushing in. The cavalrymen surrounded the yard and glared at Xu Jing and Lin Yingmei. "The crown prince's servants are waiting. Song Lu, quickly come out here," the leading general shouted loudly. "May I ask the reason why you sirs are looking for this young maiden?" Hearing the loud summon, Song Lu opened her door. Seeing the fierce scene in front of her, her face immediately went pale. "You are Song Lu. This maiden's name is indeed Song Lu." Song Lu quickly replied. "Catch her!" The soldier shouted coldly. Song Lu's face looked like it had not a drop of blood left. Several soldiers followed each other in a line and headed towards Song Lu to catch her. "What are you doing?" Xu Jing coldly interjected. The soldiers who were heading for Song Lu were scared stiff by Xu Jing's aura. Song Lu quickly hid behind Xu Jing. "Brat, who are you? Quickly get out of here, this has nothing to do with you." A cavalryman casually spoke out. Just as he finished speaking, a dark silhouette abruptly leapt forward, causing the loud-mouthed cavalryman to immediately cry out in pain before falling straight to the ground. On the horse now was Xu Jing. The surrounding soldiers were shocked still. No one would have thought that the young man would attack after just a single line of provocation. Only when the general shouted loudly did they all march forward without hesitation. Using only a single finger, Xu Jing shot out star energy that promptly pushed all of them back simultaneously. A star cultivator. It's a star cultivator. The soldiers called out in shock while running off in all directions. In Liangshan continent, star cultivators were in the same realm as lesser gods. How could these soldiers dare to continue to fight? Xu Jing did not pay them any attention and headed towards the general who was moaning on the ground to collect his loot. The soldier stood up wanting to run away, but he was promptly pushed down by a single one of Lin Yingmei's kick, immobilizing him completely. "Great Lord, please spare my life. I was only following orders," the man squealed out like a pig, his demeanor sore to the eyes. In the blink of an eye, the entire courtyard was emptied of soldiers. Such terrible constitutions. Xu Jing shook his head. "Do you want to kill him?" Xu Jing threw the problem towards Song Lu. The girl was stunned silent by Xu Jing's question that rang like thunder in her ears. She quickly shook her head. "He is Crown Prince Zi's man, you cannot kill him." "The Crown Prince? Why is he looking for you?" Xu Jing was puzzled about the relationship between a crown prince and a random village girl. Song Lu hesitate. "Why does the crown prince want to catch Song Lu?" Xu Jing slaps the man's face gently. Seeing the hint from Xu Jing's eye, Lin Yingmei increased the pressure of her foot on the soldier's back. "I really don't know," the man yelled in fear. "Young master, just let him go." Song Lu sighed deeply. She looked toward the general and said full of hatred, "Tell the crown prince to give this Song Lu 10 days. I will definitely find and give him what he wants." "Yes, I will definitely pass on Lady Song Lu's message." The man acted like he had received some sort of amnesty as he gratefully fled. Xu Jing and Lin Yingmei shifted their eyes towards Song Lu, waiting for an explanation. Xu Jing didn't treat this as some sort of small problem. As he had relied on Song Lu for some time now, Xu Jing could feel that even though on the outside, she seemed sly and calculating, her heart could be considered to be good, and he would not mind lending a hand to her. Coming from someone who's a guest from another world in this Liangshan continent, this was a genuine feeling of goodwill. Truthfully, on that day when young master met me, I was out on a search for a certain rock. Unfortunately, I ran into the Blossom Tiger. Song Lu sighs. What kind of rock? Relic Blade Stone. Xu Jing shifted his eyes towards the majestic star. The girl's expression did indeed light up violently as he expected. According to Song Lu's story, her real identity was the Grand Border Fortress's Crown Prince Go Zi's scoutmaster. The so-called scoutmaster's job was to search for precious stones and crystals. Once, Song Lu managed to find Relic Blade Stone near this area. This caused Prince Go Zi to become greedy and he sent her out to continuously find more. That time when she ran into Xu Jing, she was on a search for the stones. Crown Prince Go Zi had taken over Grand Border Fortress for 5 years now, and he had always relied on the strength of star cultivators. In order to entice them to become his guests, he always sent out people to search for precious stones and material. Finished listening to her explanation, Xu Jing fell deep into thought. This was the first time Xu Jing had felt like he had some sort of idea of Song Lu's true nature. If she was raised since young just to do things like this, no wonder she was like how she is. Have you never thought about escaping? Xu Jing asked. I am just a poor girl with no one to rely on, how can I hide from the Crown Prince's fangs and claws? At that moment, Xu Jing noticed Lin Yingmei's eyes looking at him, so he went to comfort Song Lu. I am also a star cultivator, I will not just stand aside and watch. But, Song Lu wanted to say something, but she gave up. Xu Jing smiled and headed to one side with Lin Yingmei. Master, this relic blade stone is the treasure I have been searching for, the relic blade sand. Lin Yingmei's voice was overcome with excitement. That was certainly so. Liked it? Tomorrow we shall, Master, can you please hear me out? Lin Yingmei reached out to interrupt him, her words carrying with it a hint of desperation. Xu Jing nodded, indicating for her to continue. Can this servant go and resolve this matter by herself? Lin Yingmei asked. Are you afraid that I will get in your way? Xu Jing smiled. He lowered his voice, for better or worse, I have already reached Stardust middle stage. Lin Yingmei shook her head. If what Song Lu said was true, this Go Zi must have quite a few star cultivators working under him. Master, your strength has only just begun to grow, and while this Lin Chong believes that you will one day be able to surpass this servant, right now I wish to do this myself. No, it is equally dangerous for either of us to go. Xu Jing shook his head. Even though Lin Yingmei's words made sense, it wasn't something his heart could peacefully agree to. How about this, let us both go. When we are at the fortress, you may go and act on your own, but it depends on the situation. Lin Yingmei fell deep into thought. In the end, it seems like it could only be like that. Right now, her master did not seem to be afraid of the thing called danger. The next day, Xu Jing and Lin Yingmei said goodbye to Song Lu before departing for the Grand Border Fortress. Even though Thousand Mount Kingdom was only a small kingdom in the Liangshan continent, the Grand Border Fortress still had an impressive aura. The walls of the fortress were 15 meters high and 10 kilometers long. A watchtower was stationed every 150 meters, and about half the distance between each watchtower was the effective range of the arrows. It was easily capable of killing any approaching enemies. Even though he had been in Liangshan continent for some time, this was the first time Xu Jing had came in contact with one of this world's cities. The Grand Border Fortress was several times larger than Song Clan Village. Its walls were white and adorned with green tiles, its barricade full of engravings, and its material made from jade. Buildings connected together on, with no shortage of people in colorful clothing coming and going, creating a bustling atmosphere in the air. After heading inside the Grand Border Fortress, Xu Jing suggested that they should first investigate the current situation before making any plans. Lin Yingmei did not object, so Xu Jing, who was in no mood to linger in the fortress, headed directly towards the Crown Prince Palace. According to Song Lu's information, this Prince Gozi has been commanding here for 5 years. Beneath him was the 15,000-strong garrison of soldiers of the Grand Border Fortress, as well as over a dozen star cultivators. Among them, the most noteworthy were the 2 guest elders. These 2 guest elders were not only nebula stage cultivators, they were also supported by 2 nebula artifacts. When it comes to nebula artifacts, Xu Jing had witnessed their impressiveness firsthand. At the Mountain Lake Legacy, Daoist Sun Tian had only needed a nebula dragon tail whisk to push them to the brink of death, injuring even Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Serpent Spear. If not for the chaotic tail escape technique, the outcome would have been much worse. These 2 elders' divine intents were gigantic. They would be able to immediately sense any star energy fluctuations in the entirety of the Grand Border Fortress. Hence Xu Jing and Lin Yingmei could only hide their traces. After observing from the outside for some time, they could see a group of men on horseback returning back to the palace. The man riding on a white horse had a face like jade, his clothing was regal and refined, his aura bright and clear, his face elated. Next to him was an older man wearing a robe with a wooden sword in his hands and a younger man wearing a large round hoop. Their attitude was in total contrast with the soldiers around them. These cultivators seemed somewhat out of place with their relaxed and arrogant attitude. Without needing to guess, these were most likely the 2 elders Song Lu mentioned. Congratulations, Your Highness, if you really do become a Star Master, please don't forget about this old man. Ha, I would be depending on the both of you even more then. Crown Prince Gozi laughed out loud. If I was not late in entering the Star Cultivators' ranks, I may have had the chance to become a Star Master. The seemingly younger man spoke regretfully. Expert when he is a talented genius. Given time, maybe you could even enter the annihilation stage. At that point, what meaning would a mere Liangshan Star Knight have for you? Gozi flattered. Even though it was just the 3rd cultivation rank, the galaxy stage was already far out of his reach, but listening to the Crown Prince's compliments still made the young man extremely happy. Your Highness, please do not forget about supplying me with what I require either. I have been waiting for my 5 Restoration Fundamental Pellet for a long time now. I would not dare to forget about that. I have already sent out several scoutmasters to search for it. That would be for the best. The group headed inside the palace. Soon, I will travel from place to place and start several fires. Wait until the elders leave, then you head in and get to work. Understood. Xu Jing carefully explained. Lin Yingmei nodded. She began to speak, but then paused, but when the time comes, if Master can, why would Xu Jing not know what she had wanted to say? I know. Once your identity is exposed, they will know you are a Star Knight and the elders will definitely search for your contracted master. No matter what, killing me is far easier than dealing with you. Don't worry, I'm not someone unreasonable. At that time I will move far away from the Crown Prince Palace. Thank you, Master, for understanding. Lin Yingmei pursed her lips. Xu Jing revealed a smile. As he was about to leave, he suddenly stopped and turned around. Lin Yingmei, do you feel regret about our contract? If it was just you by yourself like before, it wouldn't be this troublesome, would it? From now on, Lin Chong will never dare to regret it. Lin Yingmei spoke seriously. Remember to be careful. Master too, Lin Yingmei reminded him. Looking at Lin Yingmei's figure, Xu Jing couldn't help but feel a strange reluctance. His instinct told him that things wouldn't be as simple as it seemed right now. If his cultivation was higher, things wouldn't need to be this troublesome. This anxiousness must not be allowed. Xu Jing mumbled. His body shook, and all traces of him disappeared from the spot. Lin Yingmei lurked near the Crown Prince Palace's surroundings. Not long after, a thick layer of smoke began to rise up from a corner of the Grand Border Fortress. Lin Yingmei's entire body tensed up in preparation. She knew that her master had begun to take action. Soon, the fort was covered in black smoke. A man on horseback quickly reported to Gozi at the palace, and within moments a trail of light immediately flew out. It seemed to be the younger cultivator of the two. As the smoke got thicker and more numerous, even the palace was surrounded by the sounds of fire alarms and panic. A number of soldiers belonging to the prince had since left the palace, but ever since the younger nebula cultivator had left, there was yet to be a glimpse of the older cultivator. This crown prince Gozi really did seem to be careful. Lin Yingmei knew she couldn't afford to wait any longer. She immediately summoned the Arctic Star Serpent Spear and flew towards the crown prince's palace. Assassin! Assassin! The palace servants began calling out when they spotted Lin Yingmei. Over 100 soldiers dashed out with their blades, as if they had been prepared all along from all corners of the palace. Lin Yingmei softly exclaimed before slashing downward with her spear. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear treated the soldiers as if they were mere grass, blowing them away without resistance. However, these soldiers were on a totally different level than those who had attacked Song Lu's place. Even when realizing that they were facing a Star Knight, none of them retreated but continued to risk their life fighting. Towards this bravery, Lin Yingmei returned to them the greatest of compliments, death. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear made a breathtaking arc through the air, radiating light akin to electricity. As the fight went on, all the soldiers' weapons and armor proved incapable of handling just one of her attacks. In but moments, the courtyard was dyed red. Fall back! A loud shout suddenly resounded. The silhouette of a powerful figure appeared, aiming an attack right at Lin Yingmei's forehead. This powerful attack was capable of emptying lakes and moving the earth. Lin Yingmei glanced at him coldly. The Arctic Star Serpent Spear promptly stopped the attack in its track. It then followed Lin Yingmei's momentum and flew up, causing a formidable spear light to shoot out, cutting an entire nearby pavilion in half. The figure's face furrowed in shock and turned as pale as ashes. The powerful enemy retreated, blood streaming from their mouth. Lin Yingmei was just about to lift up her spear to continue attack when a sudden arrogant voice rang out from behind her, calling on the ninth heaven, absolute extinction governing lightning, release. Abruptly, a dark storm cloud appeared directly above Lin Yingmei's head. One could only see that with the movement of the sword, the storm cloud became animated, splitting out a small patch of black cloud. A deafening thunder sounded out as a lightning bolt smashed towards the location where Lin Yingmei was standing. The entire courtyard was blown apart. Several soldiers who did not take cover in time lost their lives. After the powerful shock dissipated, the courtyard had turned into a mess. How is it? Gozi rushed out from the room and asked. The old nebula stage cultivator's expression was fierce. In his hand was the ancient sword and a talisman, and he kept up his guard without a tiny bit of negligence. On the other hand, the younger elder was sweating bullets as he struggled to control his nebula artifact, the Thunder Cry sword. The dust settled while a chilling cold breath befell them. Lin Yingmei appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The lightning strike had clearly wounded her slightly. You are the majestic star, Panther Head Lin Chong. Gozi was not scared. Instead, he seemed excessively excited. It is I. Lin Yingmei gripped her spear and stepped forward. Suddenly, a large circle of light appeared on the ground surrounding her. The circle array comprised of stars caused Lin Yingmei to feel that all her energy was being consumed and her body pressed down by a mountain, impossible to move. Lin Yingmei's usually indifferent expression began to change. What is this array? It is the Heavenly Cycle Northern Dipper Array, and it has been waiting just for you. Gozi deliriously shouted. Oh no, it was a trap. Master is in danger. Lin Yingmei's face turned pale. Not good, Lin Yingmei is in danger. A strange dark cloud released a bright lighting strike that caused the entire Grand Border Fortress to shake in fear. Xu Jing, who was fanning the flames, looked at the distanced lightning, a powerful feeling of unease welling up in his heart. Without any hesitation, Xu Jing pulled out Silver Blade and headed towards the Crown Prince Palace. Crown Prince Palace. Those who were involved all stood around the Heavenly Cycle Northern Dipper Array. They stared in fear at the Star Knight who was currently struggling with all her might inside. It really is the majestic star. The elder revealed a shocked expression. Seems like he didn't deceive me. Gozi tried his best to control his emotions. Lin Chong. Ah, you are Panther Head Lin Chong. Just thinking about being able to sign a contract with the legendary majestic star made him uncontrollably happy. This was definitely proof that he did not waste all the resources he used in the past year to make this heavenly cycle Northern Dipper array. While this array specialized in restraining the majestic star may look impressive, it had its limitations. The contract must be relatively newly signed. Also, the Star Master must not go near the majestic star in order for it to work effectively. When Star Knights and their masters were separated, their connected power also weakened. This array was designed to take advantage of this exact phenomenon. If it was not able to absorb the majestic star's source of power, this array would also be useless. I never thought that it would actually be the famous impossible to contract majestic star. The younger cultivator retrieved the Thunder Cry sword while looking at Lin Yingmei with eyes full of doubt. Elders, let us not celebrate too hastily. We must not let her master come near the palace, or the majestic star can use that chance to break the array, which will make things even more difficult. Crown Prince Gozi saluted. I beg the two elders to stop him. This is no problem. The majestic star has been restrained by this array, which means that her contracted master's cultivation must not be higher than the Stardust stage. Crushing him right now would be nothing. We also need to help the Crown Prince get rid of potential problems. You dare! Lin Yingmei gnashed her teeth while trying to stand up. The array full of stars immediately circulated, causing all her efforts to go to naught. The two elders flew out from the palace and began their search for Lin Yingmei's contracted master. Gozi turned and looked towards Lin Yingmei with eyes filled with maniacal greed. Liked it? Not a bad feeling, is it? A sneering voice woke Gozi from his stupor. The cloaked person had appeared from since who knows when. Gozi's expression flashed with some uncertainty, but was promptly replaced with a flattering smile. This was all thanks to your help. If not for you, how could we have accomplished this so easily? However, to think that Lin Chong had already signed a Star Duel Covenant contract, do not worry, I will help you annul the contract. The other party said casually. How would we do that? Gozi asks in shock. When Lin Chong is at her weakest and her master does not appear to interfere, the Star Duel Covenant will automatically annul itself. Gozi was startled. He had heard that once two people have signed the contract, it would bind them more strongly than any shackles could, equally dividing all the joys and sorrows that comes with their bond. Once contracted, Star Knights must share with their master a portion of their star energy, and at the same time Star Masters must also complete certain requirements. Things like abandoning their Star Knights who was in danger for whatever reason would cause the Covenant to annul itself. Of course, whether the Covenant's judgment was based on the subjective betrayal of the Master or other objective measurement was still unknown. For the past 9 generations of Star Duels, instances of annulled contracts were extremely rare, with any remaining records talking very vaguely about the subject. Basically, you must not let her Star Master get close to her or this will all fail. Lin Chong's Star Master does not seem to have a very high cultivation. The two elders shall stand guard nearby. If he dares to get close, he will die instantly. Haha, I heard that killing the Star Master could also annul the contract. I don't know if that's true or not. Crown Prince Gozi laughed coldly. You are talking nonsense. The other person spoke without any emotion. Since I can even give you Lin Chong to contract, I can also easily destroy you. Clearly you must understand this. Gozi nodded repeatedly. From his pocket, he took out a single token. Even though he was somewhat regretful, he could see that the mysterious person in front of him was not exactly a saint. Someone who could easily deliver Lin Chong into his hands was not someone he would dare to provoke, even if he had eaten leopard galls for dinner. The other person's arms swung up, causing the token to disappear from sight. Lin Chong sis, I am truly sorry. I will take care of young master in your place. A stream of sound echoed directly inside Lin Yingmei's mind. Lin Yingmei was currently constantly restrained by the heavenly cycle Northern Dipper array absorbing all her star energy. Her head was deep in confusion. However, she still recognized the clue in that voice. It's you. Star Knights all only wish to serve a good master, and I have finally found my perfect one. I beg Lin's sister to forgive me. It's a shame that Star Masters cannot make two contracts at the same time. If not, I would also be willing to serve Master alongside Lin Chong sis. At that time, I promise I will return you your freedom, though I will have to offend you for now. The calm voice in her head sighed resignedly. Lin Yingmei's originally coldly protesting expression suddenly became as still as stagnant water, turning silent. Protect Master well. What are you talking about? Go Zi was confused. The cloaked figure humphed coldly and then turned around and teleported far away. In the courtyard, the only thing left was sounds of a long sigh. She, the panther-head Lin Chong, have also felt regretful about the timing of the situation. Lin Chong, you should obediently become my Star Knight. I will not treat you unfairly. Bang! Loud tremors from all directions reverberated violently. Lin Yingmei stood up, her Arctic Star Serpent spears piercing through the ground, almost breaking through the center of the array circle. Go Zi was so scared he thought his soul was leaving his body. This servant is the majestic Star Panther head Lin Chong, and in this life I will have only one master. Several streams of lights shot by, stopping Xu Jing in his tracks. After Xu Jing avoided the attack, around 5 meters away, the elder named when he slowly stepped out to stand before him. He appraised Xu Jing. Seeing the shining star symbol on his forehead, when he clicks his tongue, you are Lin Chong's master. You don't seem to be anything special. Lin Chong was truly blind to sign a contract with you. This truly makes one angry. Finished speaking, he casually shot out an attack. In his palm, an illusionary iron ball formed. The ball then disappears and then suddenly returns, this time right in front of Xu Jing. A loud bang resounds, the ground was split open with a large gaping hole remaining. What a useless trash, so easy to kill. When he laughed heartily. The sound of wind screeching echoed by his ears. When his pupil contracted. In a flash he instantly spun around, his thunder cry sword used as a shield in front of his body. One could then only hear several sounds of gunshots rang out. The overwhelming force behind the attacks nearly pushed when he back, and even when he managed to defend against it, his hands still could not help but shake violently. How could this be? When he looked at the empty hole on the ground, disbelieving that he was able to escape his annihilation bead. Xu Jing spat. This nebula stage cultivator was on a totally different level than the cultivators he had met before. What's more crucial is that his star energy bullets were also not very effective. But Xu Jing did not want to waste too much time struggling here, but instead his mind was focused on Lin Yingmei, for an ominous premonition was growing in his heart. Since the bullets did not work, Xu Jing used the chaotic tail escape technique. What kind of movement technique is this? Caught by surprise, when he immediately felt ashamed and angry. He angrily laughed, just a small stardust middle stage cultivator, yet you two want to play around with me? When his body suddenly moved. As if he was an arrow leaving the bow, in a blink of an eye he almost caught up to Xu Jing. Even though Xu Jing's chaotic tail escape technique was very formidable, there were downsides. Repeated uses will exacerbate the damage of his wounds. After going through it several times, Xu Jing was feeling pains that permeated through his bones. Thunder Cry Sword, go! The nebula stage cultivator shouted coldly. A streak of light suddenly shot forward, its speed extremely fast. With just the first stage of the chaotic tail escape technique, there was no way for Xu Jing to avoid it. The sword stopped him in his path. A lightning symbol appeared, causing dark storm clouds to appear, summoning lightning and thunder. The Thunder Cry sword's sharp-pointed blade made it hard for Xu Jing to escape. When he pointed his finger, star energy circulating, a streak of lightning immediately shot through Shu Jing's shoulder. His entire body burning with pain, Shu Jing's feet slowed down at the same time. When he used this chance to give orders to the Thunder Cry sword, at that time, a shadow suddenly appears near the vicinity of the Thunder Cry sword. Before Shu Jing could regain his sense, he was already caught tightly by someone. He could only follow as the other person threw out a talisman, causing a loud bang, shattering the entire earth beneath them. In the blink of an eye, they were gone. When he stood still in shock, using his divine intent to search, but was unable to find anyone, he retrieved the sword and turned over the talisman on the ground. Divine Ground Teleportation Talisman. This damned rat. When he shouted a curse and shredded the talisman into pieces. Shu Jing's body felt like it was moving through the ground, his mind deep in chaos. By the time he had regained his senses, he has already left the Grand Border Fortress far behind and had appeared on an empty patch of land in the middle of the grassland. Shu Jing tightly gripped at the cloaked person's body, pulling down their hood. He tried his best to get a glimpse of the person's face, but his shoulders were still in pain from the continuous usage of chaotic tail escape technique. The pain made him feel as if his soul was being forced out of his own body, causing his mind to drift into unconsciousness. Before passing out, he vaguely saw the figure of a beautiful young girl wearing a short green skirt with braided ponytails, her face steeped in worries. Some unknown time later, Shu Jing slowly opened his eyes. He was enveloped in a comfortable and warm sensation. The figure of a ravishing body with soft smooth skin was currently clinging to him tightly. Shu Jing's heart moved as he looked at the girl's plain naked body gently wrapping around him, her fulfilling embrace causing his entire body to feel like it was on fire. Of course, the girl was none other than Song Lu. A cold glint of light suddenly appeared in Shu Jing's eye. He casually pushed her off. "Young master, you have woken up." Song Lu's eyes opened, half awake, paying no mind to their intimate positions. Shu Jing looks towards the sky. It was already twilight, which means hours must have passed. Thinking about Lin Yingmei, Shu Jing immediately put on his clothes and planned to leave. "Young master, please don't go." Song Lu anxiously clung onto Shu Jing. Shu Jing pushed her arms off him. He stared at her coldly. "Are you done?" Song Lu appeared shocked. "Young master, what do you mean?" "Song Lu, do you really think that only you are capable of coming up with clever schemes?" Shu Jing's eyes have never been so brutal. His fingers curled around Silver Blade's trigger, just as Yingmei encountered a difficult situation. "You show up to rescue me. Are you just going to say this was all a coincidence?" "Sorry, I don't buy it." Ever since meeting her for the first time, Shu Jing has always been suspicious of her true identity. Only because she has shown genuine sincerity towards them did Shu Jing chose to ignore this. He has heard Lin Yingmei talk about the star maidens who did not possess amazing strength, and thus needing to always keep a low profile. He had thought perhaps Song Lu was one of such cases. When the situation with Crown Prince Go Zi's man happened, Shu Jing was once again suspicious, but before he could delve into it, Lin Yingmei was already distracted by the relic blade sand. Thinking back, the relic blade stone was clearly all part of her plan, a bait for Lin Yingmei. Needless to say, with Lin Yingmei's real strength, 2 nebulous stage cultivators were not enough to cause Lin Yingmei and him to become completely separated. The only explanation would be that the Crown Prince Palace had set up a trap specifically for Lin Yingmei, causing the majestic star to be caught off guard. As his eyes moved towards the surrounding, he recognized that this was the Mountain Lake Labyrinth. "Do you still plan to deny it?" After being silent for a while, Song Lu slowly recovered her calm. She revealed a weak smile, her eyes staring at him. "Young master is so formidable. I had thought that this was a flawless plan that did not leave behind any traces. You are indeed worthy of being the master I want to spend the rest of my life serving. Exploiting the trust you have built with others and then betraying them, this doesn't really require any especially cunning plans." Shu Jing looked at Song Lu coldly. "If something were to happen to Lin Yingmei, I will personally kill you. Just as Shu Jin turned around to leave, Song Lu suddenly spoke, Young master, if you wish to save Lin Chong sis, I have a very good method. What did you say? All you need to do is willing annul the contract with Lin Chong, and then sign a new Star Dual Covenant contract with me. That small heavenly cycle Northern Dipper array will no longer be able to hold the majestic star. Song Lu's tightly pulled on her coat, her two long slender legs pressing together. Shu Jing gave her an indifferent glance before ignoring her. Song Lu called out, Young master, if you really want me to make it clear to you, Grand Border Fortress has over 10,000 soldiers and 2 nebula stage cultivators. Young master, if you leave, you will die. Isn't it a much smarter idea for you to just sign a contract with me? This maiden can guarantee that if young master knows my real identity, you would understand that I am much more promising than Lin Chong. Is this all part of your plan? Shu Jing turned, his voice fascinated. You orchestrate a hopeless situation that put your target at a dead end, then you offer them hope to achieve your goals. This is quite heartless, you really are making me view you in a different light than before. Seems like nothing gets past the young master. This is making me all the more excited to contract with you. Song Lu revealed a smile, her body slowly radiated a hazy green light aura. In the dark, it looked almost dreamlike. This was Song Lu's Star Night state. A green feather fan appears in Song Lu's hands along with a powerful aura of authority overflowing. Someone who had sophisticated schemes, was cunning and intelligent, with plans that had everyone eating from her hands. Without even needing Song Lu to introduce herself, Shu Jing could already guess her true identity. In Liangshan, there could only be one person like her. The Liangshan continent's number 3 Star Knight. Knowledge Star, Wu Yong the Mastermind. Liked it? I am the Knowledge Star, Mastermind, Wu Yong. My real name is Xinxie. The girl stood with her long gliding cloak, her smile overflowing with pride. After watching you solve the riddle, this maiden has decided to devote herself to following young master. As long as you are willing to join hands with Xinxie, all of Liangshan continent's forbidden grounds and their countless strange and complex secrets will be broken through by us working together. At that time, becoming the winner of the Liangshan Star Duel would be a simple matter. Shu Jing did not say a single word, but instead he only wore a strange smile that was not quite a smile. Young master, do you know why you got nothing even though you solved the riddle? Wu Xinxie revealed a mysterious smile. Her hand swung up and a golden light flew out from the Star Knight's astral bag. A tome appeared in her hands and the girl appeared to be teeming with self-pride. Clearly, the person who had solved the legacy before him was her, the mastermind. This heart-like mirror's absolute sincerity soul technique was obtained by this Xinxie when she solved the riddle. If young master signs the contract with Xinxie, Xinxie will readily hand it over to you. Finished speaking, Wu Xinxie accentuated her beautiful face by winking seductively at Shu Jing. She sultrily makes her way towards him. Yingmei is as cold as a block of ice. Doesn't young master want a star knight that can do much more for you? Wu Yong the mastermind was extremely confident. Even though Shu Jing had thoroughly saw through her schemes, this was not a problem for the Knowledge Star. The only thing that mattered right now was that Shu Jing was amidst a crisis. Lin Yingmei was captured at the Grand Border Fortress Crown Prince Palace. It was impossible for Shu Jing to rescue her by himself. If he went there now, it would be akin to a moth flying towards flame. Smart people always have a similar weakness, that is, when truly in a bind, they can fully understand their situation and know the consequences of their own actions. If an action would lead them to their death, they would definitely not do it. What's more, the Knowledge Star who was Liangshan continent's number 3 Star Knight was 6 ranks higher in comparison to the Majestic Star. Shu Jing's cultivation was just at its fundamental stage, so being contracted with the fierce Majestic Star right now wasn't necessarily a wise choice. In comparison, Wu Yong as the Knowledge Star could offer him much more support, love, and attention. From her point of view, Shu Jing only had one choice. Furthermore, the Knowledge Star Wu Yong had laid another trap. Only by joining with her would he be able to save Lin Yingmei. This would help Xu Jing get rid of any guilt. This was Wu Xinxia's flawless plan. Master, let this Wu Yong follow you. Wu Xinxia begged from the bottom of her heart. Xu Jing looked at Wu Xinxia. Suddenly, his darkened face was replaced by laughter, as if he had just realized something extremely funny. Xinxia couldn't make head or tail of it. Really, really, Xu Jing displayed a thumbs up and complimented, you really are good. I learned to really like some points about you. I don't think I will ever forget about the Knowledge Star's schemes for the rest of my life. It could make people accept betrayal with all their hearts. Ah, very good, this is only in order to save Yingmei. Wu Xinxia's voice was emotional. Xu Jing's joyous laughter was as clear as the spring, but it carried with it a chilling sense of rejection. Wu Xinxia may have thought of everything, but she still thought too lightly of Xu Jing's heart. As a soldier, there was an ironclad rule, never abandon your comrade. Absolutely never. If you think you can control me, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. Xu Jing looked at her arrogantly and left without any hesitation. No matter what Wu Xinxia pulled out from her astral bag to tempt him, they will be nothing more than trash to him. The girl was left stunned. She shouted out loudly, young master, if you leave now it would be no different from suicide. They will call you a fool. If I fear death, then I am no warrior. Xu Jing left behind those cold words before circulating the chaotic tail escape technique, disappearing from her sight. There were no traces of regret or hesitation. Why? Does the Knowledge Star lose to the Majestic Star in some way? This was the first time something completely out of her expectation had happened. Xinxia fell down to the ground, her eyes blurred in bewilderment. She couldn't understand. She really couldn't understand. Grand Border Fortress, the Crown Prince Palace. The night gradually grew darker. Inside the bright palace halls, the heavenly cycle Northern Dipper array was continuing to absorb Lin Yingmei's star energy while the people surrounding watched in stunned silence. This is the Majestic Star. Gozi swallowed his saliva, his greed towards Lin Yingmei slowly transforming into a sort of fear. He didn't even have the courage to make contact with her cold and determined eyes. From there reverberated a shock that pierces deep into his bones. She is at the mercy of your Highness Crown Prince's trap. The older cultivator spoke. Can we really become Lin Chang's master? Gozi sounded unconvinced. Once you have signed the contract, it would no longer be up to her. Hearing the old cultivator, Gozi nodded in comfort. Suddenly, a glint of strange light appeared in the elder cultivator's eyes. He grinned. Lin Chong's Star Master is trying to make his way here. He really is wishing to die. Immediately pass on my orders. Surround the Grand Border Fortress and send out the cavalry to kill him. This time, we must not let him escape. Gozi loudly commanded. Your Highness, there is no need to worry. The older cultivator narrowed his eyes in disdain. When he is already there, he won't let him escape. Then that's even better. Xu Jing thought that he would at least be able to rush to the Crown Prince Palace before being discovered, but the Nebula Stage cultivator's powerful divine intent was impossible to circumvent. No matter how well he disguised himself, this divine intent would work almost like radar and sniff him out. Eluding it was extremely difficult. What's more, the enemy was someone far above him in cultivation. Are you seeking death? When he, the Nebula Stage cultivator, was humiliated by Xu Jing's escape, his tender face creasing up. I'll make you wish you were dead. He opened his mouth widely and spat out an iron ball. A bright flash of light shot by. This time, Xu Jing did not run. He lifted up Silver Blade and pulled the trigger. Before, when he was still a pilot, his reaction speed and vision were finely honed. After being refined by star energy, they had obviously only gotten better. He continuously shot out multiple bullets. The air was filled with explosive noises. The silver light quickly grew bigger to Wenhe's eyes. He leapt to avoid the incoming bullets while chanting with his fingers pointed at the annihilation bead. The bead released a massive explosion that completely transformed the area where Shu Jing previously stood. A figure flew up into the air like a hurricane. When he suddenly found Shu Jing appeared nearby him. This damn star cultivator. When he gnashed his teeth and quickly jumped to escape, his fingers quickly moving. He was attempting to redirect the annihilation bead. Shu Jing did not bother to even look at him and continued to shoot. The gun barrel shot out fiery sparks of light that flew toward the annihilation bead like meteors. After 10 consecutive bullets, it succeeded in pushing back the artifact. When he was surprised, he felt that all his knowledge about artifacts were turned upside down by the person in front of him. What kind of artifact was that? How had it pushed the annihilation bead back? It seems like you are not as useless as I thought. When he coldly sneered. He then proceeded to lift up the Thunder Cry sword. The sword resounds with sounds of thunder, causing a bolt of lightning to fly towards Shu Jing at breakneck speed. Shu Jing also did not dare to defend against it, but instead jumped to avoid it. When he slashed once more with the Thunder Cry sword to summon another flash of lightning. The lightning was like an aggressive fire snake that destroyed the area and turned it into pieces. Shu Jing was barely able to escape the attacks. When his expression grew more and more serious. Shu Jing's agility and reaction speed far surpassed what he had anticipated. Seems like Star Masters could not be judged by normal standards. At that moment, he no longer hesitated. His sneering laughter rose, then suddenly he stopped and yelled out, "True thunder punishes demons, burning them to nothing. Demon punishing divine thunder." When he was provoked by Shu Jing and no longer held back and used his most powerful attack. The Thunder Cry sword transformed into a lightning serpent that flew towards Shu Jing with its mouth wide opened. One could only see a bright flash of light, turning the dark night sky pale. This lightning bolt was truly too fast. There was nothing Shu Jing could do in response. The serpent swallowed him whole. The lightning bolt was overwhelming. With Shu Jing at its center, all objects within several dozens of meters were all obliterated. "Ha ha ha, let's see how you can survive this." When he laughed loudly. Bang! Suddenly, a streak of silver light cut through the night, drawing a long straight line in the sky. The shocked when he quickly avoided the attack. The smile on his face completely disappearing. From inside the epicenter of the demon-punishing divine lightning, Shu Jing stepped out without a scratch on his body. One could only see his entire body enveloped in a layer of white light, as if it was an armor. The demon-punishing divine lightning was completely repelled. Impossible, how could a Stardust middle-stage cultivator defend against his most powerful lightning technique? That is. When his keen eyes noticed that Shu Jing was holding a small piece of jade. From within this piece of jade flowed out powerful star energy that protected him. An astral artifact. When he shouted in panic. He quickly circulated his artifact technique. The nebula stage artifact Thunder Cry sword released a piercing thunderous roar that overwhelmed the mind. But alas, all of its energy was absorbed by the profound astral gem. When he spun around, planning to escape, but Shu Jing, who had used the chaotic tail escape technique, was one step ahead, appearing directly in front of him in the next instant. His silver blade's barrel was pointed directly at when he, releasing bright silver light shots. When he bent his two fingers. His nebula techniques was sufficient for deflecting the bullets, but they were simply Shu Jing's distraction meant to attract his attention. The suddenly silver blade appeared at when he's unguarded throat. When his face was overcome with fear. He called out in desperation, "Who are you really?" "The majestic star's master." Shu Jing pulled the trigger. The energy from the bullet immediately ravaged when his internals. The cultivator's face became distorted in pain. Shu Jing then casually used his arm to wring when his neck. Even in his last moments, when he was not able to believe that a nebula early-stage cultivator would die in the hand of a Stardust middle-stage cultivator. Shu Jing breathed out roughly. Just killing when he had taken all of his energy reserves. Xu Jing pulled out a bottle of qi restoration liquid he had previously acquired from Sun Tian Daoist and gulped it all down. His energy began to slowly replenish. Following that, Xu Jing pulled out the clear wind talismans. Thanks to this talisman, his body was able to move at an amazing speed, and enabled him to take care of the enemy. But this wasn't the time to relax. Xu Jing knew there was someone even more powerful here. It was a cultivator at Nebula middle stage, and not one he can deal with as easily as the Nebula early stage cultivator. Xu Jing gnashed his teeth and retrieved all that he could from Wenhe's body, then quickly set off. Crown Prince Palace. The older cultivator's face suddenly turned extremely fierce. He looked towards the distanced sky with fear. Elder Xiu, what happened? Did Elder Wenhe finished off that Star Master? Go Zi impatiently asked. No, he had killed Wenhe instead. The older cultivator spat out heavily. What? Go Zi's face turned ashen gray. Liked it? Isn't he just a low-leveled cultivator? How could he kill Elder Wenhe? Go Zi asked in a panicked tone. It seems like we can't underestimate someone who's capable of defeating the majestic star. Elder Xiu spoke gravely. He circulated his divine intent and honed in on Xu Jing's every movement. He discovered that the other party was constantly moving about the fort, from the food storage, barracks to camp, starting fires. It was impossible to figure out what he was planning to do. The Grand Border Fortress was once again engulfed in fire, with smoke covering the sky. Elder Xiu was no longer able to sit still. He could not easily forgive a Stardust middle stage cultivator who dared to not give him an ounce of respect, constantly running around starting fires. On the other side, Go Zi was also impatient. If this struggle continued, the entire Grand Border Fortress would be burnt to cinders. Elder Xiu. I will go get him now. However, regarding Elder Wenhe's reward, matters had come to this point, and yet this damned old man still wouldn't spare even a thought for his companion. Crown Prince Go Zi cursed from the bottom of his heart. However, on the surface he smiled accommodatingly. As long as you take care of this Star Master, Elder Wenhe's reward will be given to Elder Xiu in its entirety. Elder Xiu nodded, a satisfied smile appearing on his face. It seems like he could not hold back in order to deal with Xu Jing. He picked up the wooden sword and a talisman before flying off. The half-kneeling Lin Yingmei, who had heard their entire conversation, could not help but sigh a long sigh. Master, why? Grand Border Fortress Pavilion. Atop this pavilion stood a young girl dressed in a red fluttering dress. She was standing against the breeze, her red eyes observing the entirety of the Grand Border Fortress. She looks at the fire alarms raised across the entire fort at various burning and smoking locations and couldn't help but smirk. She really did enjoy this kind blazing fire imagery. This beautiful girl was standing next to a man whose face was like jade. He was handsome and elegant youth, only right now there was a glint of shock in his eyes. Indeed, they were Deviance Star, red-haired devil, Lu Tang, and her Star Master, Sun Hua. After being pointed in the wrong direction by Lil Hair, they failed to find Xu Jing and Lin Yingmei. They did not think that the next time they would run into the majestic star and her master would be in this situation. Lin Chang's Star Master really is an idiot. He dared to infiltrate the fort by his lonesome self. Did he think he could put up a fight against the two Nebula cultivators without the help of Lin Chong? Sun Hua laughed lightly. He was observing all of the events occurring at the Grand Border Fortress. He was quite surprised by the majestic star's capture, but Xu Jing's reckless move was what caused him to laugh out loud. Master, what do you think he should have done then? The red-haired devil Lu Qing'er asked casually, her voice carrying it with a slightly strange tone. Sun Hua replied immediately without thinking, of course he should have ran as far away as possible. Losing a Star Knight, one can just find another one. But each person only have a single life. If one dies, they have nothing. Master's words are so enlightening, Qing'er understands. Lu Qing'er laughed mysteriously. Sun Hua suddenly felt a chill running through his entire body, his heart lunging forward. Danger! Sun Hua suddenly remembered Lu Qing'er was also a star knight. He quickly explained, if any danger comes to Qing'er, I would, of course, use all my strength to rescue you. However, that is the majestic star, her star master basically has no power to control her, hence it would be just a waste of time for him. That's what I meant. It was a good try. Lin Qing'er licked her lips, her red fiery eyes seems like they were burning brightly. No need, Master's decision is indeed the correct one. If Master is killed, Star Knights will also be seriously injured, even killed. The further you stay away from your Star Knight, the better. You would be able to guarantee your own safety, while the Star Knights can use this chance to find an even more powerful master, so why wouldn't they take it? If one day Qing'er meets such a situation, I pray Master will go as far away as possible. Sun Hua wasn't sure if Lu Qing'er was being genuine or not, but her words made sense. For now, Sun Hua could only smile awkwardly. Lin Qing'er summoned her blaze-refining 9 Hell Saber, the saber, fireballs floating gently. Right now is our best chance to kill Lin Chong. Sun Hua said, heatedly. Lu Qing'er glanced at him, her eyes cold. There was even a trace of scorn. Useless trash. She cursed quietly. An overwhelming aura suddenly appeared and pushed down on him like a mountain. Xu Jing could only feel his legs turning numb and impossible to move. An elder cultivator coldly appeared in front of him. The elder complimented. I never thought you would be capable of killing Wenhe, but that's the furthest you will go. Elder Xiu pulled out the wooden sword and attached a talisman on its body. He casually swung it upward. He muttered a single word, go. The talisman turned into countless fireball that covered the entire night sky, as if there were dozens of suns falling from the sky. Xu Jing leapt and avoided an attacking fireball, but before he could even retaliate using the silver blade, the elder have already made his next move. His nebula middle stage divine intent was fierce. The moment Xu Jing attempted to escape, he spat a metal sword. The flash of sword light directly shot through Xu Jing's body. Afterimage? Elder Xiu was stunned. With his clear wind talisman activated, Xu Jing appeared in front of Elder Xiu in the blink of an eye, continuously shooting at him. Not paying any mind to his remaining bullets, Xu Jing shot over 10 silver beams of light shot toward Elder Xiu. Humph. Elder Xiu laughed coldly, his wooden sword swept up, shooting out star energy to turn the strange artifacts into tiny pieces. Suddenly, he discovered that amongst the chaos of the exploding bullets, a single silver ball appeared. Elder Xiu's expression quickly changed. Annihilation bead? Bang! The annihilation bead unleashed a powerful wave that swallowed Elder Xiu. Even though Xu Jing still could not control nebula-grade artifacts, this annihilation bead did not need to be fueled with any star energy, but was more akin to a grenade. The damage it could cause cannot be underestimated. Bastard! Elder Xiu was blasted by the attack before he could prepare and took the full blunt of the attack. But before he could finish cursing, a figure suddenly appeared beside him like a silent assassin. Putting aside how high the cultivation of a cultivator was or how powerful their artifact, there was always a weakness. When it comes to star energy, cultivation, artifact, Xu Jing was not his match, but if he was able to get close to him, Xu Jing was sure that he had the means to surely kill anyone. The silver blade shot toward Elder Xiu. Only, this time the cultivator was nothing like Wenhe. Elder Xiu shouted angrily, his power like a wave crashing down. Just as Silver Blade was only an inch from Elder Xiu's throat, Xu Jing was hit by the wave of overwhelming power. He could only be thrown backward at the wall, leaving a large dent. Heaven hear my orders, heavenly lightning earthly fire. Bang! Elder Xiu angrily chanted, his wooden sword turning into a bright red lightning bolt. He had used the heavenly lightning arts. One could only see the wooden sword transforming into a fiery lightning bolt that strikes down upon Xu Jing's location. Just a tiny stardust cultivator like you can make me use the heavenly lightning earthly fire sword. It seems like your death at least had some meaning, ha. Sneering, Elder Xiu's expression suddenly turned serious. Xu Jing's breath did not disappear. After the fiery lightning dissipated, Xu Jing was still standing solidly like a statue, his face carrying with it a hint of delight. By now, Lin Yingmei must have been saved. What nonsense are you saying? Xiu Elder asked in surprise. Liked it? Not only did you not sincerely run away and hide, you even came back here to your death. Now you even wish to save someone. How laughable. Elder Xiu laughed, his eyes narrowing. Comparing to the majestic star, Elder Xiu was much more interested in how this star master survived his heavenly lightning arts. He focused his sight on the piece of jade in Xu Jing's left hand. It was continuously releasing a transparent halo of protective star energy around him. An astral artifact. No wonder Lin Chong would sign a contract with you. I would have never thought you were in possession of such a treasure. Elder Xiu revealed a greedy expression. Astral artifacts were extremely rare in Liangshan continent. Even if it was just a common astral artifact, only freakishly powerful stellar stage cultivators would dare to walk around showing them off, lest they bring fatal disasters upon oneself. After so many years of cultivating, Elder Xiu had only ever run into 2 astral artifacts. The first was a moon and stars encircling bracelet, which nearly obliterated him when used by a galaxy stage cultivator, while the second was Xu Jing. Now it's your turn. Elder Xiu yelled out excitedly, power streaming into the wooden sword. The sword turned into the shape of a bolt of red lightning, akin to a flood dragon leaving shore with its fangs and claws out, roaring furiously. This was the heavenly lightning earthly fire sword's true form. In but a moment, the fort's fire blended with the fire lightning released by the sword and covered the entire night sky, dyeing the heavens and earth bright red. Crown Prince Palace Gozi's personal guard was already scared to death by the star cultivator's battle. His face and Gozi's paled in fear. A feeling of unease rose up in Gozi's heart. This was the first time he was so intimidated by someone with lower cultivation than himself. Elder Xiu's cultivation was at the nebula middle stage. In theory, he should have been able to easily slay a stardust cultivator like Xu Jing, even if he was the majestic star's master. What's more, Elder Xiu was in possession of the heavenly lighting earthly fire sword, a terrifying weapon. Even if he was fighting Lin Chong, she would be lucky to escape it. Gozi comforted himself as he turned his eyes toward the girl inside the array. At that moment, a figure in a green short dress and ponytail appeared. She headed directly for the palace. The girl was enveloped in an ethereal halo of green light. Truly beautiful. Stop! The guards shouted while lifting their spears. The girl paid them no mind and instead focused on Lin Yingmei, who was inside the array. Her eyes carried with them a hint of envy and at the same time resignation. The guards stared at her confused, then thrust their spears at her. Nimble chains made of bronze appeared and pushed back the guard's spear completely. Even though I do not possess any martial arts or magic arts, don't think you can bully me easily. The girl snickered. The chains wrapped around her arms seemed to have their own intelligence, their tips easily cutting through the metal armor like mud. Indeed, she was the knowledge star Wu Xinxie. Gozi's expression shifted. Star Knight. Before, it was impossible for him to even catch a glimpse of a star knight, but now there were even 2 here. What's more, the new person seemed to be a powerful star. Wu Xinxie's chains flashed, their various tips flew towards various crucial points of the array. Seeing the array's light growing dimmer, Gozi realized she was breaking the array and quickly called out, "Hurry, kill her." Several star cultivators threw out their artifacts. An invisible barrier in front of Wu Xinxie completely stopped all the incoming artifacts. She casually leapt up, her bronze chains riding the momentum and slashing right across their necks, decapitating several star cultivators who couldn't react in time. Wu Xinxie threw out a series of talismans. The moment they hit the ground, a massive explosion resounded, shattering the earth. The heavenly cycle Northern Dipper array completely broke, its halo of light gradually fading away. When Go-Zi saw the array break, he felt anguish from the pit of his stomach. Just a bit more and then the majestic star would have belonged to him. The moment he noticed Lin Yingmei's chilling eyes turning towards him, the hair on his entire body stood up. He quietly cursed before turning around and running away. Luckily, Lin Yingmei did not pursue him. It wasn't because she didn't want to, but she wasn't able to because she had just escaped the array. This array's main use was to absorb the Star Knight's astral energy. Now that she had lost 7 to 8 parts of her energy reserve, there none left to spare. Only by relying on the Arctic Star Serpent Spear was Lin Yingmei able to stand herself up. Lin Chong, can you still fight? Wu Xinxia asked. Did Master tell you to do this? Lin Yingmei glanced at Wu Xinxia. Her star symbol still remained, so at least Xu Jing hadn't thrown her away. Wu Xinxia shook her head. She laughed and said, Xinxia thinks you are too lucky. How many have masters that would come to their rescue despite knowing full well the risks? Isn't that just too foolish? She turned and looked around the fort. The blazing red fire lightning was like a nightmarish devil with terrifying fangs. Frenzied winds and harsh rains coupled with devastating lightning and thunder had turned the Grand Border Fortress into a destroyed war zone. With each bolt of lightning that flared up, people's heart grew more and more terrified. Master! Lin Yingmei's heart ached and her lips bled from her gnashing teeth. She gripped the Arctic Star Serpent Spear tightly, wishing to lend a hand. This was the first time Wu Xinxia had ever seen the majestic stars so scared. Truly, what a lucky man. Wu Xinxia smiled and supported the falling Lin Yingmei. If you go now like this you will just distract young master. This servant cannot just stand and watch. Lin Yingmei gasped. Her entire body was shaking, her eyes filled with worries. Wu Xinxia looked at Lin Yingmei while in deep thought. Do you really wish to help young master? I may have something that you can use. She took out a single pill. The pill was golden in color and was decorated with the symbol of a dragon. Star Breaker Golden Pill. In a short amount of time, it will help you return to your peak state. However, there is a side effect. When your body surpasses its limit, all the meridians on your body will break. From then on, you will become a cripple with no hope of recovery. Lin Yingmei, do you still dare? Wu Xinxia slowly explained. Majestic star that had swept aside thousands of soldiers since ancient time becoming a useless cripple. She would probably prefer death over such a fate. Lin Yingmei stood there, stunned. Wu Xinxia smiled secretively. Yingmei sis, you only have a few minutes left to decide. Young master is not a match at all for that nebulous stage cultivator. The only reason he was able to hold on until now was due to some special artifact he had on his body, but I doubt it will last for much longer. If you really want to save him, this is the most straightforward method. Of course, maybe young masters still have some secret killing move. A powerful bolt of lightning raced across the sky. Lin Yingmei could clearly sense that Xu Jing was losing ground. She looked at the Star Breaker Golden Pill and immediately swallowed it without thinking further. A sudden stream of star energy surged through her meridians. Wu Xinxia spoke the truth, this pill was indeed effective. If this servant dies in battle, please take care of master from now on. Lin Yingmei coldly left those words behind before turning into a streak of light and flew away. Wu Xinxia smiled grievingly. She waved her feathered fan and sighed, I lost. I have completely lost. The scary-sounding side effects she had said about Star Breaker Golden Pill was only to test Lin Yingmei. She never thought that Yingmei would completely ignore her own well-being like that. Star Knights and Star Masters signed a contract that binds them together and forces them to support each other, but their ultimate goal was still to become the final winner. If they ran into a disadvantageous situation, there had been instances where one would run away on their own. Few were like Xu Jing and Lin Yingmei. One would fearlessly face death, while the other ignore even the possibility of becoming a cripple. For the past 1,000 years in Liangshan continent, this was the first time the majestic star had fallen into the trappings of love. Liked it? With a flick, Elder Shio's firebolt sword one sent a thunderbolt straight deep into the ground. Ignoring the damage he was inflicting on Grand Border City, Elder Shio's greed for Su Xing's 2 Astral Treasure 3 made him willing to pay any price to kill Su Xing. Elder 4 wants to see how much longer you can last. Elder Shio's divine intent had already locked on to Su Xing. Before a stronger star cultivator, running and hiding were pointless. With another red swing, the firebolt devastated another storehouse. The streets teemed with fleeing citizens and soldiers, their screams all blending together. Su Xing hid behind a statue, gasping for breath. With his energy rapidly depleting, the astral treasure was also slowly dimming. Is this my limit? Su Xing stole a glance at Elder Shio, who now stood atop a roof. This devious nebula middle stage cultivator did not give Su Xing even a chance at escape. Not only was he using the firebolt sword at full power, but a bright lightning aura protected his body. He was not afraid of letting Su Xing get close to him. With Su Xing's current cultivation and star energy, there was no way for him to overcome this nebula middle stage cultivator's defenses. Is there anything I can do? Su Xing exhaled. With a gaze that refused to admit defeat, he suddenly sprang out, lifting Silver Blade and letting loose a bullet. It was a dazzling silver glimmer in the darkness, like a sword to tear apart fiery red lightning. SFX, pang! Bang! The bullet was stopped before Elder Shio by his aura. Elder Shio exerted his star energy. The firebolt sword was just like a torrential downpour, and its fire lightning instantly destroyed the area Su Xing was standing in. The scene was as if a bomb had went off. Rubble was strewn everywhere, with thick, oily smoke billowing out of the burnt husks of buildings. That Elder Shio had completely demolished the entire 100 meters surrounding Su Crossing, and where do you think you're running off to? Elder Shio sneered. You can die peacefully after having survived against my weapon for this long. The firebolt sword was poised to deliver the killing blow, but at this instant, a figure came flying in, glowing spear aimed towards his weak point. Elder Shio didn't dare receive the attack directly, and instead, he himself attacked, clashing against that light. Forced to take a step back, after the initial shock faded, in front of Su Xing stood a warrior maiden with cold spear in hand, protecting him. Lin Chong! Elder Shio exclaimed in shock. Young master, you can leave the rest to me. Lin Yingmei's face was stern, with an icy fire burning within her beautiful eyes. Her entire body emitted a powerful killing intent, the astral crest 5 on her forehead shimmering brightly. Knowing Lin Yingmei was safe, Su Xing felt just a little bit relieved. The knowledge star Wu Xinjie 6 had indeed saved the majestic star. We can retreat first if you can't handle this. Su Xing suggested. Against this nebula middle stage practitioner, he really hadn't a good idea how to overcome the difference in ranks, stretching past 2 ranks seemed to be his limit. He must pay. Lin Yingmei said firmly. Lin Chong, weren't you trapped? How is this possible? Elder Shio could not understand. He recalled what Su Xing said before, that Su Xing had a backup plan. This damned Star Master irritated Elder Shio immensely. This was the first time a Stardust cultivator had fooled him. So what if you're here now? I'll just send you both to the Liangshan Maiden. Elder Shio changed hand seals, and the firebolt surged to full power. In an instant, thunder and lightning struck towards the two. SFX, crash! Lin Yingmei raised her Arctic Star Spear 7 to forcefully block the thunderbolt. Fire! Elder Shio shouted, throwing out the firebolt sword that was within his hand. With a dazzling lightning that blinded the eyes, Lin Yingmei was unable to decisively block the attack, her body shaking. The firebolt sword shone through the night and pierced through the wall of Grand Border City. The Arctic Star Spear then fired a cold light towards the enemy. However, Elder Shio was a capable fighter. After throwing the sword, he threw several paper talismans, and those talismans became 50 to 60 fireballs to block Lin Yingmei's attack. Lin Yingmei easily dispersed the fireballs, but at this time, the elder revealed just how cunning he truly was. With a twitch of his finger, the thrown firebolt sword followed the motion and became a bolt of lightning, returning and targeting Lin Yingmei. Having already executed an attack, it was too late for Lin Yingmei to defend herself. But suddenly at the last second, the fiery red lightning aura blossomed into a cold white light. With a terrific roar, the firebolt's attack was completely stopped. This was not the doing of some other outsider, but Su Xing throwing out the last bit of power from the profound star barrier, he successfully stopped the sword's attack. Elder Xiu hurriedly retreated in shock. But Lin Yingmei wasn't about to give him a chance. The Arctic Star Spear broke his shielding aura, and the tip of the spear stabbed into Elder Xiu's left shoulder. The only thing to be seen was a girl holding her spear, and she tossed aside Elder Xiu with a swing of that spear, as if she was throwing away garbage. At the same time, Su Xing wasn't going to let him catch his breath. Bullets, like wild beasts, rushed towards him. However, Elder Xiu's speed was quick, and he used a technique to escape into the earth the moment he landed. You two goddamned brats, Elder cannot wait to reap your souls. Elder Xiu emerged from the other side with a sinister smile and the firebolt sword having already been recalled to his hand. Bullying my sister, the one who wants to die is you, isn't it, you old geezer? Someone suddenly jeered. Elder Xiu started and brought the sword to his side. Clad in a red cape, a beauty with red hair stood on a rooftop, taunting haughtily. With a burning 9-chain link saber, at first glance, she looked like a demon from hell. And she really was a demon, the red-haired demon, Lu Tang. Su Xing blanked out. This was plain bad luck. Of all the times to meet her, Lin Yingmei was just as upset. It looked as if all of the Deviance Star's hostility was directed at Elder Xiu for the moment. Lifting up her blaze refining saber, she sneered, old men should just enjoy what time they have left. Be careful, coming out fighting and killing, no one here wants to collect your body. Lu Tang, you aren't being respectful at all. Another voice, this one playful, came from behind Elder Xiu. This time, it was another beauty, the knowledge star Wu Xinjie. Wu Xinjie gave a small laugh. Playing with a copper lock, her body emitted star energy at maximum strength, making Elder Xiu break into a cold sweat. Don't mind us, old man. Once you've been blasted to pieces, there's no need to collect a body. In fact, Elder Xiu was stone-faced. 3-star generals. There were now actually 3-star generals. An aghast Elder Xiu looked at Su Xing. Just who is this brat, to be able to call upon 3-star generals at once? Shut up. Majestic Star Lin Yingmei gripped the Arctic Star Spear, with a completely icy killing intent directed at Elder Xiu. The Deviant Star Lu Qinger coldly grunted, her blaze refining saber spewing out a cruel flame. And lastly, the Knowledge Star Wu Xinjie clearly threw out the copper lock and a Wind Kill talisman. Facing the 3-star general's attack, in the center of this triple front, Elder Xiu at this instant fell into the depths of despair. Elder will drag your man with me to the grave, even if it's the last thing I do. The firebolt sword shot towards Su Xing _______________________ Properly, this is supposed to be translated as heavenly lightning earthly fire sword, as Amory did. For conciseness, I have adjusted the name so that it is shorter without losing all of its meaning. Right arrow curving left, previously translated as Shu Jing. Right arrow curving left, previously translated as astral artifact. Right arrow curving left. Actually, the pronoun he uses here is. This is a pronoun used by older people to proclaim their seniority. Some may use the phrase, this old man, but I decided to try and use something different. Right arrow curving left, previously translated as star symbol. Right arrow curving left, previously translated as Wu Xinxie. Right arrow curving left, previously translated as Arctic Star Serpent Spear, retained but shortened to Arctic Star Spear for conciseness. Right arrow curving left, previously translated as Blaze Refining 9 Prison Saber, I am opting to use Blaze Refining 9 Hell's Saber, and Blaze Refining Saber, for short. Su Xing had long been prepared. The moment Elder Xiu thrust out the firebolt sword, Su Xing quickly sidestepped, completely avoiding the attack. Elder Xiu wasn't about to die willingly. He threw out the talismans and artifacts he kept on himself. Decades worth of items were all taken out until there was nothing left. This battle potential was not less than that of the 3 stars working together in harmony. Still, though, his fate was decided. Not only were the 3 stars he was facing all heavenly stars, there was also the resourceful knowledge star among the 2 highly capable warriors. Wu Xinjie's wind kill talisman turned into a beastly storm that first just gave Elder Xiu nowhere to escape. Then, Lu Qing'er's blaze refining saber hacked away, its cutting edge wrapped in a fierce flame. Its flaring fireworks easily incinerated the talismans Elder Xiu had thrown out. Just as there were the stars, sun and the moon, so too, did a cold light follow up. Lin Yingmei's spear technique cleanly and swiftly cut through the artifacts, which didn't even have the time to activate. The 3 great star generals completely surrounded Elder Xiu, suddenly leaving him in a rather desperate situation. Lu Qing'er's first slash cut heavily into Elder Xiu's body, and the spurts of blood were instantly vaporized by the flame on the blade's edge. Elder Xiu yelped and tried to squeeze his fingers into a hand seal, only for a cold light to pass by and sever those fingers altogether. Finally, Lin Yingmei leapt magnificently before him, her cold and piercing eyes giving a look fierce enough to kill, and stabbed the Arctic Star Spear through Elder Xiu's throat. His incantation abruptly stopped. 2. Even in death, Elder Xiu's eyes remained fixed upon Su Xing to the very end, and his eyes revealed an unmistakable resentment for Su Xing. If he was still capable of thought, he perhaps would have recalled that time so long ago when he first saw the astral treasure, round star-buckled moon, 3, and had been left breathless. However, he was luckily able to escape by taking advantage of the sacrifices of countless other star cultivators. And this time, tragedy took the stage again. Yet he already had no chances for regret. In the blink of an eye, the Elder Xiu that previously had been pressuring Su Xing to death had himself been killed simply in a matter of seconds by 3 star generals. Upon seeing this, Su Xing's heart still held a lingering fear. In actuality, Elder Xiu could not be blamed for being careless. In his battle with Su Xing, he did not hesitate to use the firebolt sword in order to obtain the profound star barrier. This magical weapon was full of power, but its use necessitated that the star cultivator unceasingly instill a steady stream of star energy to maintain it. Otherwise, the firebolt sword is unusable. When he finally used the profound star barrier to stave off defeat, most of his own power had already been exhausted. When the 3 stars danced together, Elder Xiu grew even weaker. 5. Therefore, he knew his next step had to be dragging Su Xing to the grave. Unfortunately, a completely prepared Su Xing would never abide by his wishes. Su Xing turned his gaze towards the firebolt sword. Due to the loss of a power source, the firebolt had already turned into a red, but rather ordinary wooden sword. Su Xing didn't even spend much time looking at it, and he stored it inside the astral bag he lifted from Elder when he looked around once more, and he discovered that the Deviance Star's master was nowhere to be found. Little sis Lu Tang, I never expected to bump into you here, how fortunate. Wu Xinjie playfully smiled, her copper chain now gone. Settling things with Elder Xiu did not mean that everything was over, and Lin Yingmei clenched 2 spears, 6, staring intently at Lu Qing'er. The Arctic Star's spear normally would never hesitate to attack, but she was an exception. The red-haired demon turned the blaze refining saber, the sword links clinking, playing with the cold friction. Wu Xinjie's smile quickly disappeared as even she was able to tell something was wrong between the two. Little sisters, you couldn't be thinking of dueling here, right? Lu Qing'er shot Wu Xinjie a sardonic look and returned to where Lin Yingmei was. Lin Chong, that alliance just now happened only because I absolutely hate that old geezer. Don't even think that what's between us can be settled peacefully. Same here. Lin Yingmei stated calmly. You both should be sorry. 7. Sun Hu emerged. He wore a prince's robe, and he carried a stack of talismans in his hand. It seemed that in the time that they hadn't seen him, he went to Prince Gozi's to collect some weapons for the purpose of fighting Su Xing and Lin Yingmei. No wonder why he acted so proudly, victory was so close at hand for him. Your current star energy isn't even on the level of a beginner's, how could you two ever face us? They could even discern that Lin Yingmei's star energy was in rapid decline, and never mind Su Xing. Having fought off 2 nebula stage cultivators, his tenacity thus far was rather commendable. Can't you settle this duel when you go to the Liangshan Maiden duel grounds? Wu Xinjie frowned. How could we ever miss this opportunity, Qing'er, kill! Sun Hu shouted, while at the same time, he threw out tens of paper talismans. These talismans turned into a net of light. This was the sky-shrouding spider web talisman. 8. Its target was not Su Xing, but Wu Xinjie. Having identified Wu Xinjie as an obstacle, the first thing to do was to prevent her from intervening in any way possible. As for Su Xing and Lin Yingmei who were now spent, Sun Hu simply didn't bother with them. Lu Qing'er gave a feminine shout, and the blaze refining saber flames began combining, interlocking layer upon layer. The first step would be an all-out Huangjie sword arts, 9, attack. 9 consecutive hellfire demonic slash. The monstrous flames were not a single bit inferior to those of the firebolt sword. Lin Yingmei's spear swept forth a cold light, using the very last bit of her star energy to barely defend. Lu Qing'er saw an opening and hacked at Lin Yingmei's head. Red flames swept over Lin Yingmei. There was no room for her to dodge, and she had to clutch her spear tightly with both hands in order to block. However, the forceful blade showed no signs of being delayed. Lu Qing'er grunted fiercely, and the strength she exerted suddenly increased. Lin Yingmei felt her wrists become heavy, her pace become unsteady, and she could see Lu Qing'er's sword cut towards her own neck. The Starbreaker Golden Pills, 10, side effects had begun to kick in, and Lin Yingmei felt her body begin to fatigue. Her only choice was to retreat, to create some distance. But Lu Qing'er's cold and brilliant blade still cut into Lin Yingmei, cutting a wound so deep that bone could be seen. Taking advantage of Lin Yingmei's sluggish actions, Lu Qing'er rushed forward without hesitation, the blaze refining saber intent on drawing even more blood. SFX, pang! Bang! A crisp noise blasted from the sidelines. A silver line blasted between Lu Qing'er and Lin Yingmei, catching the girl off guard and forcing her to retreat. Turning her head, the one who opened fire was none other than Su Xing. Qing'er, leave him to me. Sun Hu gave a cold grin and tens of golden swords shot out. Lu Qing'er was indifferent, and the blaze refining saber again cut towards Lin Yingmei, spear and sword biting at each other, slamming against each other. The strength of Lu Qing'er's attacks gradually grew stronger and strong, whereas Lin Yingmei began to become increasingly slow. Her parries began to only barely keep up. When Su Xing saw this, he felt anxious from the bottom of his heart. Sun Hu, you moron, didn't you learn your lesson last time? Could it be you just don't have even a shred of the ability needed to sign a contract with her? You must be talking about yourself. Sun Hu scornfully replied. You were lucky the last time. This time, I won't give you the chance. Su Xing could only see Sun Hu tap his pocket, but when he did, a curved red shadow flew out from within the bag. The red shadow expanded and swept around Su Xing, covering him from head to toe. But Su Xing was just waiting for this opportunity. He suddenly twisted his body and used the chaotic tail escape technique, 11, disappearing into thin air before Sun Hua's very eyes. How could Sun Hua have known that Su Xing unexpectedly learned this bizarre and uncommon escape technique during the last few days? And he thought his own artifact, Magical Fire Fragrant Handkerchief, 12, had nabbed Su Xing. Though he kept up his poker face, his heart had begun to sink. Suddenly, he glanced a chilling light. Sun Hua's face suddenly paled. How is this happening? This last bullet is for you. This was an unrelenting declaration, and Sun Hua was frozen in place, trembling. Within the darkness, there came the crisp sound of a string being severed. And someone whimpered. Author note, I asked for your vote, and now I'm near the bottom, a mere carpet. 1. Literally, the characters used here were, which was translated as, Tandem Dance of the Three Stars. However, I've made changes to make the text flow. Right arrow curving left 2. When he started chanting, I don't know. Right arrow curving left 3. Where the buckled part refers to something like a belt buckle. The meaning behind this is that the moon is apparently restrained, somehow. Right arrow curving left 4. Literally, this treasure injured him to the point that he could hardly breathe. Right arrow curving left 5. This is an expression that basically means even the strongest weapons can break. Right arrow curving left 6. I don't recall her having 2 spears, so I'm not exactly sure what the author means here. Right arrow curving left 7. Here, Sun Hua addresses Su Xing and Lin Yingmei using the expression, which basically describes someone refusing to admit any wrongdoing on their part, especially if they actually did something wrong. Right arrow curving left 8. Right arrow curving left 9. Previously translated as Phoenix Step Tactics, in the coming chapters, the mention of a new technique necessitates this change. Right arrow curving left 10. See Chapter 22. Right arrow curving left 11. See Chapter 12. Right arrow curving left 12. Sun Hua already held a sense of fear towards that strange artifact Su Xing carried, but how could he have expected that Su Xing would also have an even stranger escape technique? By the time he realized this, Su Xing had already emerged behind him, with Silver Blade's barrel pressed against Sun Hua's head, continuously releasing star energy. If this was any other artifact, then Sun Hua's star energy barrier might have given him a chance. But Su Xing's handgun was something unheard of across the entire Liangshan continent. When its bullets left its barrel, its power was comparable to a nebula stage artifact, and when coupled with its rapid fire capability at such a close range, even a nebula early stage cultivator would have a hard time. Needless to say, Sun Hua was only at Stardust late stage. Only able to utter a pitiful cry, a silvery lead slug burrowed through Sun Hua's head, mashing brain then breaking through and emerging from his forehead. Every poor soul that died under Sun Hua's hand had the same expression, one of unimaginable shock. Sun Hua fell, breathing his last. Meanwhile, the red-haired demon Lu Qing'er was an unstoppable force with her blaze refining saber overcoming all obstacles, hitting Lin Yingmei back again and again, each blow harder to ward off. The majestic star was already reduced to using her instincts to barely defend against Lu Qing'er's frenzied onslaught, the demonic flame upon the blade unceasingly injuring her. Lin Chong, could it be you won't resort to using your Huangjie spear arts? 2. Lu Qing'er shouted, sweeping her blaze refining saber, its fire swirling around and becoming a bloody light. Lin Yingmei gave a grunt and struck a blow directly at her foe. Or should I say, you haven't even comprehended it at all. The Deviance star smiled coldly. The blaze refining saber turned a bright red, faintly revealing a dark color. Then let this little sister send you to Maiden Mountain. She rushed forward, imposing, with her blade raised. Lin Yingmei retreated, staggering, leaving herself wide open. Lu Qing'er did not hesitate to bring her sword down, but at this moment, her entire body stopped and seemed to have been held in place. It felt as if her soul had been ripped out of her, inducing a great pain, a bloody mist spraying violently from her throat. Young master. Lu Qing'er was aghast, turning her head in time to behold the scene of Su Xing ending Sun Hua with his gun. Her mind was suddenly shattered. Star Maiden and Star Master prospered together, and they languished together. After signing the Star Duel Covenant, even if the Star General was dissatisfied or angry with her master, she could only obey. During battle, she would use all of her strength to work together with her master. Lu Qing'er knew that her own master's cultivation was one rank above Su Xing's, that Su Xing was already having a difficult time and was clearly tired. Lu Qing'er thought that even if her master let her down, she could still get by if she killed Lin Chong. She didn't think at all that in just a short amount of time, Sun Hua would be the one done in. The moment her contractor died, Lu Qing'er's life energy suffered significant injury. Even with her heart shaken by horror, she thought she could sort things out after killing Lin Chong. If this were any other opponent, then maybe there could be a chance, but in front of her was Lin Chong, the majestic star, panther head, Lin Chong, an absolutely terrific fighter. When her contract was broken, the time Lu Qing'er spent out of focus exposed a fatal opening in her combat effectiveness. Lin Yingmei did not think, her body moving out of pure instinct, surging forward with a step of her foot. The Arctic Star Spear sent forth a stunning and beautiful white line, and Lu Qing'er, still in shock, raised her blaze refining saber. Cold silver light and blazing fireworks locked together in a struggle where time seemed to cease its flow. 3. Lu Qing'er opened her eyes wide, watching as the icy cold spear edge broke through her blaze refining saber's block, and then run through her heart. Lin Chong, I'm jealous that you have such a master. Lu Qing'er clutched the spear's handle, revealing her envious expression. The flames of the blaze refining saber began to extinguish. You'd better serve him well. It goes without saying, said the crouching Lin Yingmei, looking up at Lu Qing'er. Still, it's a shame you haven't yet learned your Huangjie spear arts. Lu Qing'er suddenly gasped, grasping her blaze refining saber. Lin Yingmei brought herself to one knee and suddenly pulled out her spear. The Arctic Star Spear was soaked in the Deviance star's blood, its cold light even more clear than before. Lu Qing'er had all the strength pulled out of her as well. Finally, she stared blankly at Sun Hua, or was it Su Xing? Finally, she heaved a sigh, and her body turned into a fiery star that scattered across the land. In the middle of the sky, a crimson star then emitted a light that was just like daylight, illuminating the earth. A red mist shot straight into Su Xing's body, and the rest of the blue stars looked as if they lost their support. A beautiful arc was drawn across the sky, falling into a magnificent pillar in a place far away, Maiden Mountain. The Deviance star had fallen. When that red light fell into Su Xing's body, Su Xing's entire body felt as if it was aflame. A vigorous star energy expanded within his body, and Su Xing felt endless discomfort. This feeling was more profound than when he was practicing the chaotic tail escape technique. The sound of marching boots suddenly erupted from a nearby street. The grand border city that was caught in a battle between star cultivators had been appallingly destroyed. The outside of the city had been almost completely flattened, and Prince Gozi's palace had been engulfed in bright red flames. Avenge Prince Gozi. Capture the assassin. Thousands of officers and men issued orders in a thundering voice that forced its way in every single direction. We need to leave quickly. Wu Xinjie explained, propping Su Xing up by the arm. 5. Lin Yingmei nodded, both hands clenching her spear, collecting the very last bit of her star energy. The Arctic Star Spear stabbed heavily into the ground by the young girl. SFX, crash. The earth was cut wide open into a trench tens of meters deep, cutting off the soldier's path. The three quickly retreated. In a cave 10 kilometers away from Grand Border City. Su Xing was cross-legged, mixing this new star energy and letting its violence enter his meridians. The star energy inside his body was also slightly more vigorous. The burning sensation became hotter, and Su Xing was already dripping with cold sweat. Receiving the burns and making hand seals, when suddenly, dozens of red lights flew from his fingertips and condensed before Su Xing's eyes, slowly fusing. When the fire finally faded, a gleaming demonic blade floated suspended before him. Blaze refining 9 Hell Saber. Su Xing carved his divine intent into it, and the blaze refining saber issued a rich ringing noise. Its links shaking, Su Xing leisurely swung it about for a bit before storing it inside his astral bag. Wu Xinjie witnessed the entire spectacle and couldn't help but give a small sigh. The Deviance star reaped what she sowed. 6. Su Xing was silent. After the last battle, the three were very exhausted, especially Lin Yingmei, who took a Star Breaker Golden Pill after having her star energy extracted and was now extremely weak. Leaning against the wall without even an ounce of strength, it was only when she saw that Su Xing experienced no major problems that she slowly closed her eyes to rest. Although it was a bitter fight, the harvest of their victory was extremely fruitful. Su Xing always wanted to obtain an astral bag that could store everything at once, and now he had 3. There were also the nebula rank artifacts, such as Sun Tian Daoist's Dragon Binding Whisk, 7, Wen He's Thunder Cry Sword, Elder Xiu's Firebolt Sword, and Sun Hua's Magical Fire Fragrant Handkerchief. The rest of the pills, herbs, energy stones, and talismans were innumerable and in all sorts of varieties. But the biggest surprise was the Deviant Star Lu Qing'er's destined weapon comparable to an astral treasure, the Blaze Refining Saber. Wu Xinjie said that after a star general falls, that destined weapon would belong to the victor. If he continuously refined the Blaze Refining Saber, as time passed, the technique of the Deviant Star would become his. Fortunately, because Lu Qing'er had learned the Huangjie sword arts, Su Xing could also use it immediately. On the other hand, he still wanted the next step of the art, but the Crimson Heart Demon Flame was needed to refine the Blaze Refining Saber, and this didn't look to be an easy task. Wu Xinjie, take whatever you want, this here is your share. Su Xing looked blankly at the knowledge star. Although you set us up, seeing as how you helped at the very end for my sake, let's be clear between the two of us. From here, we go our own ways. 8. If you want to go to war now, I'll oblige you. Su Xing declared heavily. Upon hearing these ruthless words, the knowledge star Wu Xinjie reluctantly bit her lips, full of resentment. 9. 1. And here drama takes precedence over military tactics. A trained soldier would know to never press their weapon against someone, much less enter and not shoot at point-blank range. Right arrow curving left 2. This is why I changed Lu Qing'er's Phoenix Step Arts to Huangjie Sword Arts. Right arrow curving left 3. Zia Warudo. Right arrow curving left 4. Almost like steam. Right arrow curving left 5. When did you escape? Right arrow curving left 6. Look who's talking. Right arrow curving left 7. See chapter 16. Right arrow curving left 8. Seriously, you'd throw away a valuable addition to your team? Well, I suppose she did try to take advantage of Lin Yingmei's capture. Right arrow curving left 9. Ah, baby gonna cry. Wu Xinjie wanted to speak, but suddenly, Lin Yingmei, who was to the side, collapsed onto the floor. Su Xing came over to help her, rushing hastily to Lin Yingmei's side, extending his hand. The young girl's debilitated state was graver than they thought. What's happening? Su Xing asked Wu Xinjie this perplexing question. Wu Xinjie frowned, explaining, the effects of the Starbreaker Golden Pill are probably kicking in. Just what the hell did you give to Yingmei? Starbreaker Golden Pill. Upon hearing this name, Su Xing had an ill sense of foreboding. The Starbreaker Golden Pill is considered one of Liangshan continent's secret medicines. It enables any star cultivator to gain a sudden overflow of star energy. This type of overflow wasn't simply a replenishment of star energy, and it could raise star energy to the highest point that it could be called a lethal weapon to turn the tide. There was a price, of course. Even though it would not really destroy every meridian like Wu Xinjie said it would, overexertion would definitely lead to the user being very weak for quite some time. Young master, you needn't worry. If you let Yingmei go to the star nest recuperate, she should recover in 10 days. Wu Xinjie comforted Su Xing, and where is this star nest? Su Xing frowned. Wu Xinjie stared blankly for a second. Then blinking her eyes, she giggled, young master, could it be that Yingmei hasn't even informed you of this at all? Su Xing shook his head. This is definitely the majestic star's style. Wu Xinjie tried to stifle a laugh. Apparently, this star nest was produced when a star cultivator and a star maiden contracted with one another, and it was akin to a sort of astral space. This sort of space was opened by each other's astral crests, and the star generals that sign contracts are able to retreat to the star nest to recover. Because star generals are unable to cultivate star energy, they therefore enter the star nest to share the star energy of their master in order to grow their own. And this is one reason why star generals sign star dual covenants with star masters. 2. Only by doing so can the earthly fiend's star energy exceed the most powerful heavenly spirits. So it turns out there was something like this. Su Xing opened his mouth to speak. The knowledge star Wu Xinjie thought this was obvious, it's perfectly normal. Signing the star dual covenant doesn't only mean that every other star general is an enemy. It's those cultivators that are the biggest threat. Ordering a star general into the star nest is a great way to hide people from prying eyes. It hides their identity, otherwise, you'd die 100 times before even reaching Maiden Mountain. Su Xing thought this way as well. If star generals so obviously stayed at their master's side, even blind people could see who they were, and they would suffer innumerable deaths by that time. But as for Lin Chong, telling her to stay in the star nest would perhaps be a sort of humiliation. Wu Xinjie also took the moment to inform Su Xing the method of how to open the star nest. It was actually very simple. Su Xing pointed his hand at Lin Yingmei's forehead, and the astral crest on the young girl's forehead began to emit light. Lin Yingmei cracked open her eyes slightly. Yingmei, so that you can get better, go cultivate in the star nest for the time being. Su Xing Lin Yingmei softly voiced her assent, and then she closed her eyes once more. The pair's astral crests began to shine together, and suddenly, Lin Yingmei's figure disappeared into thin air, as if she was a ghost. Su Xing got a strange feeling, as if another soul had invaded him, and his mind seemed as if it got another power. However, Yingmei's weakness is great, and she can't bear her injuries. Young master, if you want to restore her quickly, Xinjie has a divine physician friend that could perhaps have some recipes. Xinjie can take young master there. Wu Xinjie said shadily. As if Su Xing could not hear the true meaning behind her words. I'm very thankful for everything you've done, however, we should still part ways here. Su Xing's attitude was resolute. Traveling the road together with a person that would mastermind a trap to hurt their own, even if she redeemed herself slightly from this failing towards the end, Su Xing wasn't that eager to shoot himself in the foot. Only the heavens knew what sort of tricks this resourceful knowledge star would play. But, why? Wu Xinjie could not understand. 3. Why, you say? Su Xing asked back. Recalling their encounter at Grand Border City, Wu Xinjie quietly sighed. Even if Xinjie could give young master the very best soul techniques, the greatest and most powerful talismans and artifacts, would young master's heart still not move? Su Xing did not reply, but his expression revealed that he acquiesced with her words. Very well, then. Xinjie has only one very last request. Wu Xinjie bit her lip, still holding out hope. What request is this? Wu Xinjie came closer, the tip of her nose almost sticking onto Su Xing's face, the faint fragrance of begonia flowers drifting into his nostrils. If young master could contract with 2 star generals at once, then would young master please contract with Xinjie? Su Xing nodded his head. Ignoring the fact that she was the knowledge star for now, since she tended to him for the past few days, he held a good impression of her. Wu Xinjie gave a playful smile, suddenly closed her eyes, stood tiptoe and kissed Su Xing's lips. It was like a bright flame, and the terror froze his body in place. The young girl was as tempting as a lilac, as fragrant as an orchid, and also fierce. Su Xing felt his entire body go out of control. He had a sort of déjà vu, feeling as though he were being sucked out of his body. His forehead shined, but the difference was that there wasn't that type of distinct burning. Rather, it was like gently running water soothing his face. Wu Xinjie opened her eyes, that pair of great, clear eyes showing surprise, embarrassment and excitement. The knowledge star's kiss was full of heat, and the sensation lingered. A few short dozens of seconds felt longer than a century. Su Xing kept swallowing down his saliva, staring at Wu Xinjie looking completely surprised, especially at her forehead, with that gorgeous and dazzling crest, with its bright and vivid style. The young girl was more surprised than even he, and she joyfully jumped and jumped, almost as if she was a child. What's going on? Su Xing still couldn't believe this. Wu Xinjie calmed down and licked her lips seductively. Young master, Xinjie can let you ride her like a horse in the future. 5. Did we really sign a star duel covenant? Su Xing touched his forehead. He didn't feel at all that the contract with Lin Yingmei was broken. In other words, congratulations to young master for obtaining more beauties. 6. Wu Xinjie blushed shyly. Su Xing thought that only one star duel covenant could be signed. It never occurred to him that he could sign a second one, but thinking again, this wasn't actually a bad thing. From the bottom of his heart, he didn't really want to become enemies with Wu Xinjie. After signing this unexpected contract, Wu Xinjie's downcast mood was swept away, and she was indescribably happy. As if she were moving house, she pulled out every single thing from inside her astral bag. 7. Besides that heart-like mirror's absolute sincerity soul technique, there was a copy of the 36 Roads Hidden Star technique that described techniques to hide star energy. Since Wu Xinjie couldn't cultivate this technique, she gave it to Su Xing. In addition, she had hundreds of low-rank talismans, dozens of middle-rank talismans, as well as a single high-rank talisman. The rest of the crystal spirit jade wasn't few in number either. Seeing those, splashing fire, wind kill, drawing thunder, earth escape, and even a copy of the terrifying, heavenly calamity, talismans, Su Xing's brow was filled with sweat. If he had actually raised a hand against Wu Xinjie just now, he would have had his fill with these talismans. As star generals are unable to use artifacts, these talismans just became Wu Xinjie's lifesavers, but Su Xing didn't even want hers. However, it can be said that even if she took third place, no one would know how she got those excellent items. In this regard, the knowledge star's explanation, she doesn't have overwhelming force, nor does she possess any powerful spells, so for the young master's sake, she needed to prepare. After all, she was the knowledge star, the resourceful star, Wu Yong. Being married to the young master meant her dowry could not be small. Since they already signed the contract, Su Xing again recalled what Wu Xinjie said about her divine physician friend. Can your friend really treat Lin Yingmei? Of course. Wu Xinjie giggled. The Star Breaker Golden Pill was a recipe created by her. She's this incredible. Then is she a star general, too? 'Tis so. The Efficacious Star, Divine Physician and Daoquan. Wu Xinjie batted her eyes. Three months later. Rippling Wave Kingdom, at the Heavenly River outside Heavenly Water City, a ferry slowly approached the dock. A young man wearing a simple but elegant gown stood at the bow of the vessel, gazing at Heavenly River City's pavilions, which were ubiquitous. He mumbled, "So this is Heavenly Water City." The ferry's fisherman laughed after he heard the youth's words, "You came at just the right time, dear guest. Heavenly Water City is about to convene the Water and Land Assembly, so dear guest is fortunate enough to witness this event. Could you explain a bit more about this Water and Land Assembly?" the young man asked, curious. The fisherman did love to speak. This Water and Land Assembly is an event that the Rippling Wave Kingdom holds but every 50 years. His Majesty will invite all manners of supernatural beings, pray at the Dragon Flower Terrace for blessings and good weather, for peace and prosperity. It is said that if heaven above hears his prayers, then they will drop the amazing water thunder in response to His Majesty's request. Huh, that's new, I didn't know about the blooming water divine thunder at all. Hearing about this talk of the divine, from the side suddenly came an arrogant voice. The young man unconsciously glanced and saw a 24 to 25-year-old youth. He was immaculate, almost scholarly, and he seemed to know some inside details of the water and land assembly. Upon hearing the fisherman's words, he couldn't help but snort. Blooming water divine thunder. On the contrary, I've heard about the blooming water sect. I don't know how these two things are related. The fisherman asked, slightly embarrassed. The expression upon the youth's face was cheerless, ignoring the fisherman. After the ferry reached the shore, he haughtily and calmly left. The plainly and elegantly dressed young man also disembarked from the ferry, taking a thoughtful look at that youth. Young master, do you wish to inquire a bit more about this blooming water divine thunder? From within the sea of his mind came a cute and pretty voice. Sounds like it's something dangerous. Forget about it, let's first find that friend the efficacious star that you spoke of. The young man shook his head. He was Su Xing, of course. Traveling land and sea, he endured a continuous hell for 3 months before finally arriving at Rippling Wave Kingdom from the Thousand Mounts Kingdom. Heavenly Water City is Rippling Wave Kingdom's state capital, and it was on another level of splendor compared to Grand Border City. With towering buildings and temples as far as the eye could see, there was also a greater number of star cultivators. After entering the main entrance, Su Xing sensed at least 30 star cultivators. The Health Cottage. 2. Su Xing raised his head to look at the plaque, with its forceful, 3, and powerful grass script. There was no mistake that this was the place. Dear customer, are you here for a checkup or to pick up medicine? The shop assistant within the store welcomed him with a smile. I'm here for your shopkeeper. 5, Su Xing said. I don't know your name, dear customer. Just say Xinjie is looking for her. Please wait a moment. Su Xing sat on a chair, idly sizing up the cottage. It was clean, bright, and the air carried with it the faint fragrance of grass. A shop assistant and a doctor were kept steadily busy filling prescriptions and checking patients, respectively. Everything looked to be in good order. If it wasn't for Wu Xinjie telling him that this place's boss was Liangshan's 56th seat Efficacious star, divine physician and Dao Quan, Su Xing definitely would not have believed it. A short while later, the assistant came back out. Dear customer, inside, please. Su Xing was brought into a room. The shopkeeper is currently refining medicine. Please wait first, dear customer. 6. When the shop assistant left, a phantom left from Su Xing's body, and thus a beautiful girl emerged. It really is boring inside the star nest. Wu Xinjie patted her face. Su Xing rolled his eyes at her. Wasn't it you who went into the star nest yourself? Young master, it couldn't be helped. Wu Xinjie grieved. This place is not as remote as the Song clan village. Many star cultivators come here, and if young master and I stay together, in the case we roused suspicion, then much trouble will be brought to young master. Knowing how considerate she was, Su Xing smiled. However, speaking of the Song clan village, he remembered something. Since your real name is called Wu Xinjie, how are you a member of the Song clan village? Ah, this? Wu Xinjie eyeballs turned, and giving a sly smile, that's because the Song clan village thought young master and I were together. Su Xing stared blankly, and he quickly understood what she meant. Actually, Wu Xinjie claimed to those Song clan villagers that she and he were together, but she claimed to Su Xing that she was one of the villagers, keeping both sides in the dark. A classic use of asymmetric information. Su Xing really admired Wu Xinjie's thought process. Still idling about with nothing to do, Su Xing walked before the bookshelf. On top were many books about herbs, concerning Liangshan continent's pill techniques. Su Xing knew very little, so he curiously grabbed a copy of A Treatise on the Essence of Solutions, 7, and with great relish, an aroma arose as he flipped through the book. After reading for a bit, a curtain was pulled open. Su Xing set down the book that was in his hand, and he was a beautiful girl with a graceful figure enter. Sister Xinjie, long time no see. The young girl's voice was sweet and pleasant. Seeing Su Xing, she raised her brows. About this young master, Sister Xinjie, did you just seduce him? This is Xinjie's master. 5. Wu Xinjie giggled. The young girl covered her mouth, her eyes revealing her obvious surprise. Young master is very fortunate, I am in Suwen. Su Xing. Su Xing looked at this beautiful efficacious star, with her shapely eyebrows and bright eyes. She was vividly adorable, and her face was very refined. Suwen, have you still not found a contractor? 9. Wu Xinjie asked. Suwen can only save people, she can't kill people. And Suwen dismissed the question with a laugh. Sister Xinjie didn't bring the young master to simply visit Suwen, right? In fact, I have a companion that I want you to see. Su Xing asked a question within his consciousness, and Lin Yingmei acknowledged with an N. Then a brilliant light filled the room. Lin Yingmei also emerged into the room. The way Suwen stared with her large, round eyes was very cute. 2. Xinjie's master is a genius, right? Wu Xinjie said proudly. Lin Yingmei coldly snorted. Su Xing made brief introductions, asking Lin Yingmei to fill Suwen in on the situation. After cultivating within the star nest for 3 months, Lin Yingmei had been able to restore only 3/10 of her former star energy. At this rate, it would take at least 7 months. Su Xing could wait, however, Lin Yingmei definitely could wait no longer. Sister Yingmei, using the Star Breaker Golden Pill has heavily injured your life energy. Though, it isn't impossible to increase the speed of your recovery. And Suwen read her pulse and announced her diagnosis. Are there any solutions? Su Xing asked. The solution is very simple, it's just that the next bit is, and Suwen hesitated. Suwen, don't be so dramatic. If it helps Yingmei recover more quickly, then Xinjie will owe you one. Since Sister Xinjie put it that way, then fine. And Suwen smiled helplessly. Su Xing couldn't figure out what she was going to do, and he only saw her tightly shut the big door to the room. 10. Then, Suwen held Lin Yingmei's wrist, and she began to meditate. Su Xing saw her entire body emit a faint light that looked as though the Star General would rank up. A weak breath slowly spread throughout Lin Yingmei's body, and Lin Yingmei began to improve rapidly. This is the Efficacious Star Divine Physician's Huangjie technique, spiritual aura distribution. Wu Xinjie said stealthily. It can recover a target amount of star energy, and it can boost vitality. Su Xing nodded his head, this was really amazing. Does young master wish to receive her from the bottom of your heart? Wu Xinjie giggled. I am not that deranged yet. Su Xing snapped. 1. This is difficult to translate since this is actually a type of marine explosive. I've chosen thunder because context in a later chapter suggests the object in question to be related to the lightning element rather than a god raining down explosions upon the world. Right arrow curving left 2. Right arrow curving left 3. This is describing the handwriting. Right arrow curving left 4. This is a style of calligraphy. Right arrow curving left 5. Right arrow curving left 6. Welcome to waiting room B. Right arrow curving left 7. Right arrow curving left 8. Right arrow curving left 9. I'll bet she has an offer that cannot be refused. Right arrow curving left 10. I'm assuming she does this because she would give away the fact she's a yet-to-be contracted star maiden otherwise. After a certain period of time, a tired Suwen finally ended the healing, soaked in a sweet and fragrant sweat. How is she? Su Xing asked, concerned. Young master can be considered amazing, you know. Sister Yingmei's star energy is an unending stream. Suwen could only recover a small fraction of it. And Suwen knew in an instant that Lin Yingmei's star energy was extraordinary. Words could not express her respect and wonder. Could it be that even you, the divine physician, doesn't have a solution? Wu Xinjie asked. And Suwen lightly smiled. I will go and mix some more herbs for some recovery potion. With the aid of my spiritual aura distribution, it will probably take a little more than 10 days to fully heal. However, going by this means that the young master will have to stay in Heavenly Water City for some time. When Su Xing heard that it would only take around 10 days for Lin Yingmei to recover, he breathed a sigh of relief. This was far better than 7 months. I'll have the shop assistants arrange a guest room for the young master. And Suwen said in Suwen as she wiped her sweat. It seems her fatigue was not light. Please do. Su Xing said. After she left the room, Wu Xinjie shadily smiled. Young master, the divine physician is great, isn't she? Is she really not going to sign a star duel covenant? Su Xing could not understand. He had always thought all the 108 star maidens were required to do so. It seems young master is completely mistaken. Wu Xinjie shook her head. But in fact, this wasn't the case. When the Maiden Mountain launched the 108 stars, the star duels could only be considered a curtain raiser, and the prologue was the signing of a star duel covenant between Star Maiden and Star Master. The star generals that successfully signed a contract had the qualifications to rush to Maiden Mountain. However, signing a star duel covenant definitely was not a necessary condition. In fact, besides being able to split star energy and having a companion to lend a helping hand, the reason why star generals would contract with star masters is that only after signing a contract are they qualified to reach Maiden Mountain's actual peak. In the star duels of the past, there were actually many very pretentious star maidens that disdained and spurned the contract. The majestic star panther head Lin Chong is considered the best example of this. Since the beginning of the very first star duel, every generation star maidens didn't sign a contract with just anyone, but star duel rules dictate that when the sky is filled with a requisite number of crimson stars, only then will Maiden Mountain open. Therefore, there is only one ending for those that didn't sign contracts. If she didn't kill every single star master, then she would become the footstool of one. Even young master saw this. And Suwen doesn't have it in her to kill people at all. Star masters that sign a contract with her will inevitably become a target for all of Liangshan continent to kill. How, then, would anyone be willing to do such a thing? Wu Xinjie sighed. After hearing everything the knowledge star said, Su Xing had a deeper understanding of the cruelty of the star duels for Maiden Mountain. What was going on in the head of the Liangshan maiden when she created the star maidens? Su Xing was indeed curious. Aware that the mood had taken its ups and downs, Su Xing sat cross-legged and took out the heart-like mirror's absolute sincerity soul technique. After trying just 5 seals, a warm aura, like running water, passed through his internal organs. All of a sudden, Su Xing felt tranquil. His eyes bright, he realized that his body's star energy had also increased greatly. This heart-like mirrors technique was indeed a soul technique that countless people all over the Liangshan continent pursued for hundreds of years. Soul techniques had 3 realms, each level consisting of 10 techniques. The first level, stable heart, cultivated the mind. Whatever happened, one must keep still and unshaken. Using the absolute sincerity technique didn't only help him absorb the Deviance star's star energy, it was even indispensable for when he cultivated the chaotic tail escape. The pain of death was not like a tranquilizer, and the two complemented each other to the point that practicing them together was like putting a fish back in water. 2. During these past 3 months, Su Xing not only broke through the 28th gate stage, even his star energy rushed to Stardust late stage in one fell swoop. Now, Su Xing could clearly feel that the dusty star energy in his body was currently slowly fusing and condensing into something more cloudy. He had already arrived at the critical juncture where Stardust condensed into nebula. He tried again and again to condense everything, but his star energy would always disperse in the end. It looks like refusing to use the 6 senses recovery pill won't work. Su Xing opened his eyes, helpless. The 6 senses recovery pill was a pill he found when searching through Wenhe's astral bag. It was a miracle drug that was used to break through bottlenecks. This elder when he seemed to have been approaching nebula middle stage, and most of the ingredients for the recipe had already been collected. He was only missing a mist cloud seed. However, now that he was dead, this worked to Su Xing's benefit. Not long after, Suwen held a bottle of recovery potion and administered a dose to Lin Yingmei. In particular, she made clear that star energy could not be used within 10 hours of ingesting the medicine. Seeing her care so much for herself, Lin Yingmei also showed just a trace of gratitude. After all, the Star Breaker Golden Pill was refined by Suwen. Suwen should fulfill her share of the responsibility. And Suwen definitely had a sense of duty befitting the divine physician. Su Xing now recalled the time the fisherman spoke about Heavenly Water City, and he asked curiously, "Little sister Suwen, do you know what the Blooming Water Divine Thunder is?" Blooming Water Divine Thunder. And Suwen expressed surprise upon hearing this name, so it turns out the young master also wants to obtain the Divine Thunder? Is this Blooming Water Divine Thunder very powerful? Wu Xinjie blinked her eyes. Even Sister Knowledge Star doesn't know about this. But Sister drifted all over Liangshan continent, so not knowing is normal, I suppose. 3. And Suwen explained, creative gold, receptive wood, blooming water, clinging fire, and gentle earth are Liangshan continent's 5 elements astonishing thunders, and they are extremely powerful. If you can refine blooming water thunder in your body, you can control it at will. Sister Xinjie should know what this means. Su Xing was very moved. 3 months before, he was just able to experience fighting 2 star cultivators that could control lightning at Grand Border City. One was a crying thunder god, and one was earthly fire heavenly lightning. He's suffered enough under lightning techniques. However, these 2 types of lightning techniques required close contact with the artifact's own power in order to be used. Even so, their powers still could not be underestimated. 5. If a star cultivator was able to refine the divine thunder, there was no medium needed to refine it. Just thinking about it was scary enough. Wu Xinjie's eyes shone. She had an idea. Is the water and land assembly related? Lin Yingmei asked. I heard the water and land assembly is a smokescreen for the Blooming Water Sword sect. Suwen has admitted many Blooming Water Sword sect disciples, and I heard from their own mouths that every 50 years, the Heavenly River and the Dragon Flower Terrace will open a hole to the Dragon Flower Cave. The Blooming Water Sword sect will send disciples into the Flower Dragon Cave, to go take Blooming Water Divine Thunder. However, you thought that young master wanted to take the thunder, why? Wu Xinjie exposed her excitement. Could you be saying that young master is also able to go obtain it? To enter the Flower Dragon Cave, your star energy must form a cloud. Your lows and highs will all be resolved by the blooming water. For this reason at this time, not only are there the Blooming Water Sword sect's disciples, but the 10 kingdoms of Liangshan, the 100 Great Doors School, and thousands of ordinary star cultivators will all try to rush into the Flower Dragon Cave. Especially since the start of the star duels, everywhere fears that star masters will grow great in number. As far as Suwen knows, Heavenly Water City currently has at least 4,000 star cultivators. And Suwen shook her head and sighed. The Blooming Water Sword sect is also a powerful foe. It seems that when the time comes and it is set off, there will be a reign of terror. Su Xing's group was dumbfounded upon hearing this. This was actually fairly obvious. If star cultivators were to obtain the Blooming Water Divine Thunder, there was no doubt in the future that they would hold a great advantage in star duels. It was also obvious why it drew in so many people's desires, and what Su Xing heard was all just around the corner. However, the Flower Dragon Cave will not allow any star generals to enter inside, so if young master wants to go, he must consider things clearly. Since ancient times, the number of star masters that fell are not few. And Suwen reminded thoughtfully. Su Xing nodded his head. The most pressing matter was definitely to first boost his star energy to the nebula stage, otherwise it was a waste of time to think of anything else. Oh, right, Sister Xinjie, Heavenly Water City's south side recently revealed an ancient tomb puzzle. If you're interested, Sister Xinjie can go try to solve it. The star cultivators that recently arrived all go there, but there hasn't been a person able to solve that puzzle yet. Having suddenly remembered this, Suwen lightly smiled. From Suwen came valuable information. The southern area of Heavenly Water City had an ancient tomb that was finally recently opened by a brave few to the public, and inside the tomb was a formidable obstacle. Reportedly, the burial site was concealing a certain mechanism. As long as the conditions of this mechanism were met, the mechanism would release and open. However, the most interesting thing was that there were not any sort of hints that pointed out the ancient tomb's mechanism. This was rather rare, and furthermore, every single star cultivator that went to see the ancient tomb all left confounded, with no exception. This piqued Su Xing's and Wu Xinjie's interest. The more puzzles there were, the more excited the two became. Several dozen minutes later, Su Xing arrived there. Around the surroundings of the ancient tomb were gathered many cultivators locked in discussion. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, the knowledge star Wu Xinjie secretly entered into the star nest. Being inside the star nest was not really a problem since she could still feel what Su Xing was perceiving. Su Xing discreetly examined these cultivators. It really was as Suwen said. Most of their star energies were at the nebula stage, so it looks like they indeed came here for the blooming water divine thunder. There isn't a single hint at all. It looks like this was made to make fun of people. Is our friend here also stumped? Forget about it. Let's leave, there's nothing to see here. The cultivators in the courtyard each had their own expressions. Some were lost deep in thought, whereas others were shaking their heads as they thumbed through books. Some were even storming off in a huff. There was also an odd type of star cultivator among the cultivators gathered there. They weren't thinking about the mechanism within the tomb, nor were they leaving the area. Each formed a small group, and their eyes were glued to the star cultivators that came to look at the tomb earlier, full of cunning. This sort of situation couldn't help but remind Su Xing of the Sun Tian Daoist and his group that they met at the Mountain Lake Monument. It looks like they wanted to hunt star generals. Su Xing laughed coldly from the bottom of his heart, but he also didn't care too much about them. The outside of the ancient tomb was rather ordinary without any sort of hint on a tombstone or the like, while the inside was even rougher. In the tens of meters of this depressing space, there wasn't the slightest trace that this place had ever been previously decorated. A pair of coffins were placed in the middle of the area, and each was built from fine iron. Without their lids, there was no way to know if they had already been looted, but the coffins were empty. Apart from those, this ancient tomb didn't have anything else special. If it weren't for the 2 iron coffins placed here, nobody would have thought that this was a grave at all. Does this place truly have a mechanism? Wu Xinjie was also very bewildered. This grave hadn't a single hint, so people were forced to guess the requirements of this so-called mechanism. Wu Xinjie also has never seen such a demanding puzzle. Su Xing carefully examined the iron coffins, devoting all of his attention to this. These iron coffins are definitely the clue to the mechanism. Wu Xinjie guessed. Su Xing voiced his agreement, and using his hand to touch the coffin, he spotted an unexpected rock and frowned. The grave has only a pair of coffins within. Xinjie, what do you think this means? Could it be that we must place 2 bodies inside? Su Xing's brow was covered in sweat. The knowledge star's method of thinking was really abstract. It seems that even young master is confounded. Young master, do you wish to have a competition with Xinjie? Wu Xinjie giggled. Let us see which of us can disengage the ancient tomb's mechanism first. Does that mean you've already solved this? Su Xing's interested smile suddenly returned. This little girl still needs to rethink things. Wu Xinjie replied. Su Xing chuckled. Xinjie, then you've lost. Within his mind came the confused voice of Wu Xinjie. Could it be young master has solved it? I think I've got it. Su Xing said, pensive. It can't be. Wu Xinjie was stunned. It hadn't been long since they entered and the mechanism was already solved. This was far too fast. Young master, you are definitely deceiving Xinjie, aren't you? I'll give you a hint. Su Xing placed his hand on his chin, smiling strangely. The iron coffins aren't used to hold bodies. These coffins aren't for bodies. At the same time, a cold voice sounded right next to his ear. Su Xing turned and looked, just in time to see a young girl gently stroking the head of the iron coffin. She looked engrossed, and the two seemed to have just run into each other. That slender waist and elastic bust finally gave Su Xing a deep appreciation for the softness of a young woman's delicate body. Su Xing unconsciously reached out to grab hold of the girl and pulled her. The veil upon her face lightly floated, and Su Xing glimpsed her stunning and beautiful face as it flashed by. The young lady's reactions were incomparably fast. Flipping over her wrist, a magic as cold as ice burst forth from her palm. The biting cold from her chilling palm pushed away Su Xing's hand, not letting him enjoy holding her soft and warm body within his arms. The girl's clothes were purer than snow, for they were utterly spotless. That pair of clear eyes carried with them an outstanding and extraordinary heroic spirit. Compared with Panther-head Lin Yingmei, she definitely didn't lose out. Even more splendid than frost, clearer than snow. Using these 8 words on her was simply impeccable. Are you all right? The young girl's eyes were wide, her voice clear and ringing. Su Xing saw the layer of frost covering his palm, secretly speechless. This girl's magic was very profound, as with a wave of her palm, his hand was nearly frozen. Is that cold ice palm, is that not a secret of the heavenly ice sacred temple? Who is that woman? The rest of the star cultivators within the ancient tomb that saw this were frightened enough to stay a meter away, talking away quietly amongst themselves. At least the young lady had mercy. Too, Su Xing joked. The girl was even colder than ice, her facial expression not showing the slightest bit of change. It would seem that she was as cold as ice, but the person herself had shown a contrary and easygoing demeanor. Sorry to offend you, I was lost in my own thoughts. After saying this, the girl's eyes carried a mysterious chill, with a deeper message directed at Su Xing. Su Xing pretended to be clueless and smiled. I don't know this young lady's name. My name is Su Xing. This was a chance meeting, it's not worth mentioning. The girl said indifferently. She turned her body, her white clothes flapping, her skirt waving. She was just like a fairy that scattered pixie dust. Su Xing couldn't help but gasp in admiration. Young master, did you take a fancy to her? Wu Xinjie said sourly. Nonsense. Su Xing shook his head. His days stuck in the barracks had long since put him past the stage of being sucked in by a woman's beauty. It was just that this young girl's temperament was too oppressive, inhuman even. It felt as if only the wuxia novels he used to read could have this sort of person, so it was no wonder that Su Xing continued to stare at her for just a little bit longer. Young master, is she a star general? Lin Yingmei asked, concerned. I felt something was off. Su Xing couldn't venture a guess. If this girl really was a star general, then he really must be a bit deranged. It seems she and young master said the same thing just then. Wu Xinjie said strangely. Is this a coincidence? We'll know when it becomes night. Su Xing said, let's leave for now. Saying this, he left the grave without so much as another look around the ancient tomb. Wu Xinjie was stunned. Seeing Su Xing's carefree manner, it seems as if he really did decipher the clue to this ancient tomb's mechanism. The knowledge star was silent. It couldn't be that terrible, she still has yet to even come up with anything. Exiting the grave, the rest of the star cultivators in the surroundings were also discussing about the mysterious girl in white clothing just now. As Su Xing watched the girl's cold back, he also spotted a group of snooping star cultivators follow her up. Young master, do you wish to be the hero that rescues the beauty? Wu Xinjie smiled. Does she need me to save her? Su Xing rolled his eyes. Thinking over it, he still decided to go take a look. It couldn't be said for sure if he could find out just what this mysterious girl's goal was. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.